It's alive! It's alive!
Okay, hello. Hey, welcome everyone. I hope you are alive and well, as per usual. Excuse me. I got something in my throat. Remember last time on Tuesday, my sinuses was being weird, but yeah, no, I don't know if that's the problem anymore or whatever. I don't know if that is a problem. Oh, here's also the volume for the game. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm all right. I think I'm better. It's good. Yeah, I think we're almost done with arc number 2 for Higurashi, When They Cry. I think this will be the last one. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive. But yeah, this is still. I'm still owing 2 streams, so I think I'll probably do one tomorrow as well. As usually was the plan. It was the plan all along. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the conclusion. To see what this has all been leading to. I mean, again, I don't think we're gonna get any answers. I don't think we're gonna get some answers, and then it's just going to lead to significantly more questions that will probably be answered way later this year. Hopefully we'll get all the answers by the end of 2024. At least, we'll see, I guess. We'll see. It's a long game. It's a visual novel. It's how that works. But also, hey, Ray, what's going on? I see you're busy writing a song. Is that for school? Are you writing a song for, school? Are they making you do that? Or is that just, something you wanted to do because why not? Fuck it. It's I'm all for it. I've written music before. I've written songs. Not fully produced, but yeah. It's one of my ways, it was at least. I don't know. It was a good way for me to cope with stuff and get feelings out and whatever. Again, I've never produced or whatever, but I've written some stuff. Now I'm just making a song with my friends. Yeah, there you go. See, that's all you need. That's all the motivation you need to create something. I hope it's fun. I hope you guys are. I hope you guys hit the studio soon. Get that shit recorded. Ray LP1. Coming next year is what I'm hearing. That's what we're. Ray and Friends. LP1 is dropping later this year or next year, something like that. Your dad's a musician. Interesting. All right, so yeah, he can help you. There you go. He'll get you in the studio, and this is looking more and more likely as I find out more. The Ray and Friends LP, it's coming. It's happening. That's crazy. That was mostly a joke at first, but now I see it's less. So, okay, Jesus Christ. I was afraid. I was looking at the game, and I didn't see my end of chapter 11 save, which is where we're at. Was the end of chapter 11, beginning of chapter 12. I had realized I had saved it over my end of chapter 1, but for a moment there, I was about to panic. I was about to get real upset at myself, of course. But yeah, okay, no, I got it. So my dad's merch from when he was making music. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, that's something you would want to keep for sure. I wouldn't expect you to get rid of something like that. It's awesome. Good. I would keep my own merch. You kidding me? If I had merch, I would have one of everything just strewn about my room, and it would never leave. I would take it wherever I went. So that makes sense to me. Good. That's really cool though. Yes, you need merch. Well, that's probably not going to be for a long time. Probably not going to be for a long, long time. It's, yeah. Unless I make it myself, handcraft it. I'll draw, the only thing I could really do, though, is I don't have any equipment. I don't know. I have paper and a pen, I could like draw something. Or I guess I could like make something in like Photoshop. But like I would just have to print it out. Oh god, lights. Weird. This one just yeah, I could do that, I suppose. Just there we go. Just like make something in Photoshop, but like instead of putting it on shirts or hats or something, just like print it out on sheets of paper and mail it to people. That'd be funny. I could do that. I'd probably do that. That sounds like something I would totally do, actually. Yeah. I'm too poor to actually make merch or like official merch. I guess isn't it still official though? Even if I make it, whatever. I'm too poor to have to make like genuinely good merch. So I make something in Photoshop, print out a picture, and like send it to people for like $1 or something. I don't know. It's the cost of paper, because I don't have a printer. I usually have to go to like a UPS store where they have like printers you can use for like a charge. No, it's like it's like a few cents a page, so it's not like super expensive, but yeah, if it's officially made by me, then it technically is it is official merch. Just because it's low quality doesn't mean that it's not official, you know. I didn't think of it that way at first, but yeah, that makes sense to me, actually. I think that's a good way of thinking about it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get into this because I don't know how long we have left of this game. It could be forever. It could be a really long time.
It could be forever. Could be a really long time. Is Reina still good?
Yes. Reina does seem to be all good. Oh, I mean, I don't really need to be here that much anyway. Okay. Yeah, boop, out. Here we go. I don't know. I don't really have much to say, much to talk about. I just, you know, this is it. This is the end, I assume. I might be wrong. I was wrong about that like 4 or 5 times with arc number 1. We'll see if that continues to happen here. It probably will. Anyway, I'm gonna shift my monitor a little bit and continue. All right. Excuse me. Keiichi's man. Keiichi? Just leave him alone. His friend went missing. Must be really hard for him. Normally, my dad never shows me any consideration, but this time he did. Shouldn't Keiichi stay home from school for a while, too? I think it would be safer not to go until the police do something about this. Maybe. Compared to what could happen, taking a few days off wouldn't be such a bad idea. Anyway, how is it logical not to close school during such a dangerous situation? What do these teachers think our children are? Mom and Dad are getting pretty riled up, but at this point, I couldn't care less. Besides, that wasn't the only thing I couldn't care less about. The breakfast table, the food in front of me, the time and date, myself. I really had no interest in anything. This feeling, it was like a dead fog in my mind. Felt like getting dizzy after taking strong medication. Keiichi, how are your studies going? You've gotten further than the other kids, haven't you? If you have, then you can take a few days off, all right? I didn't even feel like answering. Today was Thursday. It actually is. Oh my gosh, it actually is Thursday. Sorry. Only 4 days had passed since the Watsunagashi festival. Such a short time, and yet now things were completely different. Everything had changed. The tranquil village, bright and clear as if it were an Indian summer. Excuse me? Had undergone a total reversal. People were made to disappear every night, and we couldn't even relax when walking out in broad daylight. The village had become a world of fear. I had no right to curse this costume. I had no right to curse this outcome. After all, the one responsible for everything was me. That night, I couldn't resist my honestly tiny, little, and incredibly stupid curiosity and broke the taboo. This isn't somewhere we should be going, is it? Let's not. It's a crime to force our way into a locked building, even if you don't steal anything. Shion, now that you know they weren't having some secret rendezvous, you've had enough, right? I don't want to do something like this. What if Rika-chan's dance ends and we're messing around here? I prattled on as I took the lock from Tomitake-san's hands and put it back on the door. I'll forget everything I saw here, so come on. Let's go. Let's go. Takano-san was fretting, but I pushed her away. Tomitake-san Tomitake-san grinned painfully. Shion's shoulders drooped as if to call me an idiot. Even so, I didn't care. I pushed everyone farther and farther away. Rika-chan's dance was still going on. Then, at last, her dance was brought to a close with a roaring applause. I, too, until my hands turned red. I clapped and I clapped. Grilled painfully. Oops. My bad. Grilling painfully is basically like accidentally touching the grill and burning yourself. Ah! I've grilled painfully. Sorry. Ding dong. Is that Reina-chan? She's here because it's your usual meetup time, isn't she? I looked up at the clock. It was 5 minutes past my time to meet with Reina. Keiichi, shouldn't you take a few days off from school? You're right. Thanks for being so considerate. I rose from my seat. I went to the entrance to greet Reina.
Good morning. We're going to school as a group starting today, so you can't be late.
Ah, that's right. If we, the ones farthest away, were to be late, the younger kids on the way there would be waiting for us. I think I'm gonna take some time off, from school.
Okay.
Reina answered shortly, nodding.
I think you should do whatever's best for you, Keiichi-kun. So you don't need to feel that you're weak or anything. Oh, and, here. It's a notice they're sending around. Could you give it to your mom? I think it has a lot of important announcements in it.
I hope I finished. I think I might have muted that before the line was over, but oh well. I took the notice. There were a lot more pages than normal. The one on top announced the disappearance of the mayor, Rika-chan, and Satoko, and that they wanted any information about them. It made my heart ache.
The police are looking as best they can, too. They'll find them for sure. Just be patient, okay?
Reina said, smiling in an attempt to give me courage. Rather than that, though, her smile looked like... I was missing that word entirely. Her smile looked like it was because she herself wanted to believe they were safe. Reina, you're not going to question me?
Nope.
Reina, you know, don't you? About that night? What I...
Do you mean when you snuck into the ritual storehouse?
I was speechless for a moment, but then I bit my lip, made up my mind, and nodded a little. So it's all out in the open. Really, I shouldn't do bad things like that.
Michan was really mad.
So she was upset. I suppose she would have been.
I don't think she was angry about you sneaking in there, though. As much as about you hiding it from her. I'm gonna do that one again, actually. I don't think she was as angry about you sneaking in there, though, as much as about hiding it from her.
I don't know if that's exactly the lip bite that they're talking about, Ray Ray. But I get it. Oh my gosh.
Maybe, Keiichi-kun, maybe you should have told her yourself and apologized.
I should have told her myself and apologized. That troubled me. Just 1 week ago, I did something that I myself should apologize to Mion for. I'd hurt her badly. However, I hadn't realized that at all. Plus, with all the confusion that Shion's appearance had brought, I still hadn't been able to talk to Mion about it. Reina, you're right. I never realized anything until you tell me. I never realize anything until you tell me.
Keiichi-kun, hypothetically, if you had admitted you'd done something wrong right away and apologized to Michan, I wonder if Rika-chan and Satoko-chan wouldn't have had to disappear.
I couldn't answer right away. I couldn't admit to that. Wasn't Reina telling me right now though? Wait, what? I don't understand. I couldn't answer right away. I couldn't admit to that. Wasn't Reina telling me right now though? Okay, so this is all like one. I'm gonna just get through this because there's too many pauses that I'm like, what are you trying to say? There's too many pauses. Excuse me. I couldn't answer right away. I couldn't admit to that. Wasn't Reina telling me right now though that I should have admitted to my crime sooner? If I had done that and apologized, would things not have gone in such a horrible direction? Reina's eyes were filled with kindness, but they weren't naive enough to forgive. Me for keeping silent, and they stared fixedly into my own. Yeah, you're right. If I had admitted my crime sooner, then Rika-chan and Satoko wouldn't have had to die or disappear. Mike. The palm of Reina's hand slapped me in the cheek. I stood there, unmoving, till my head still tilted in the direction I'd been hit. It didn't hurt at all.
I don't think that anyone has scolded you, Keiichi-kun. So I'll scold you in their place, okay?
I pressed a hand to my cheek, now warm with embarrassment. I quietly stared down at Reina's feet.
Going somewhere you're not allowed to go is a very bad thing to do. Do you understand that?
Uh-huh.
Answer me with a yes, Keiichi-kun.
Yes.
Also, what's even worse, you didn't admit to having done something so bad. You should never do anything bad in the first place, but not admitting to it or apologizing for it is much, much worse.
Yes. I was wrong. For a few moments, Reina stared at me silently and intently, as if gauging my remorse. Then, finally, the tension in her face softened, and she smiled.
Okay then. It's about time. I should be going.
All right.
Be sure to give the notice to your mom, okay? Also, warn her not to go out to pass it on after it gets dark.
I bent down to pick up the notice, which I dropped when she slapped me. The pages had come out of the clasp where they were now making a mess on the floor. I gathered them up one by one. My hand stopped at a single, more light-hearted page, with peaceful sentences dancing on it. Murder in Hinamizawa. We finally killed that bastard Jeff. Sorry. Excuse me. Murder. Funny. I do like saying it like that. It's funny. We still have plenty of homemade soy sauce in stock. Feel free to come to the Sonozaki house if you want some. What is this? I picked up the page and scanned the rest of it. They were stockpiling high-quality soy sauce they got from faraway relatives in the Akita prefecture. They had gotten a big shipment recently. They couldn't use it all, so they wanted anyone who wanted some of it to feel free to come over, is what it said. As a PS, it said it arrived in barrels, and to please bring a 2-liter bottle Oh, okay, you know what? I'm also gonna move my monitor over some more, because, like, my microphone is blocking, like, the last couple words in these, like, this whole time, so I'm, like, having to move, and I'm missing, like, words sometimes. I want to see the whole thing. There we go. Okay. As a PS, it said it arrived in barrels, and to please bring a 2-liter bottle or other container for it. That's how it tied together. If you need some soy sauce, then you would go to the Sonozaki house. Reina, did you know that all along?
Yeah, I knew.
Reina had already been suspicious of Mion as soon as she noticed that the big bottle of soy sauce was missing. Rika-chan had taken the bottle and gone to Mion's house, and there, she was erased. Rika-chan wasn't coming back, so Satoko called Mion's house and she knew where she had gone, and then Satoko got called there as well. That meeting on the day the mayor disappeared. Didn't Uishi-san say that the 3 families participated in it? The 3 families would include the Sonozaki family. didn't he also say that the current leader was really old, so her heir, Mion, frequently stood in for her at public appearances? While the mayor was returning from the shrine, Mion called out and stopped him. She talked to him and invited him into their house, and then she made him disappear. It was probably even simpler to make Shion disappear. Shion was part of the Sonozaki family. They probably knew exactly what she was doing at all times. I'm sure they even knew her part-time job schedule too. Thinking back, wasn't that Angel Mort store managed by the Sonozaki family? Setting up an ambush for her there wouldn't have been any trouble at all. I'm going to Mion. I'll go apologize. I'm going to have her put an end to everything. Mion probably won't forgive me easily, but I'll go and ask her, not to sacrifice anyone else. With that decided, there was no need for me to be lazing around here. I put on my shoes and slipped past Reina to exit the house, when she stopped me.
I'm going too.
Reina, shouldn't you go to school?
This is way more important than school.
Reina, you shouldn't come. If you get wrapped up in this too, then I think I might actually go crazy. Reina didn't move her arm, which was blocking my way.
If Keiichi-kun disappeared as well, then I think I might actually go crazy too. So I won't let you go alone.
Hammer button into everything. Wait, no. What? Are you saying wait, no, because of the stories, where it's going? We're all gonna die. Everybody. Including Reina. Excuse me. Reina argued boldly as tears welled up in her eyes. I saw them and I knew the strength of her resolve. All right, let's go. Thank you, Reina. Reina nodded slightly but firmly and finally let down the arm blocking me. Let's go to Mion's house. I'll apologize for the crimes I committed. Then we'll put an end to these twisted days. After that, I'll pray that once more we can return to those fun, lively days. With Reina following me, I left the house. In front of the house, there was a car waiting. It was Uishi-san. Oh, gosh. Wasn't prepared to do his voice. Excuse me. Hey, good morning, Maibara-san. To you too, Ryugu-san. Together so early in the morning, you make me jealous. He laughs like creepy. I can't really do a genuine like laugh with his voice for some reason. Oof, yeah, that feels weird. What a truly praiseworthy man he was. If he had been lying in wait so early in the morning just to pursue me into talking, just to pressure me into talking. On this morning, though, maybe this was actually a good opportunity.
You're from the police.
Oh, have I not introduced myself to you, Ryugu-san? Wow, that was weird. Oh, have I not introduced myself to you, Ryugu-san? Please excuse my rudeness. My name is Uishi from the Okinomiya Police Department. Pleased to meet ya. Are we telling Uishi-san?
Yeah, I think my poem is enough punishment for your crime, Keiichi-kun, but we should leave Michan's to these people.
pain and sadness. I looked down at those emotions as those emotions built up in my heart.
We have something to tell you, Uishi-san.
Excuse me. Well now, what about? Should we stand here and talk or go inside the car?
In the car, please.
I only continued to look down weakly. All I could do was be thankful for how dependable Reina was. At Reina's urging, I revealed everything to Uishi-san. The latter, while making sure to throw in murmurs that he was paying attention every now and then, took notes. We continued that way for a while. How do you feel? Do you feel a lot better now that you've told me? Uishi-san asked this while scratching his head with his ballpoint pen. Of course I don't feel better. The price that had been paid up until now for me not owning up to my crimes had been so immense. As long as that payment wasn't returned, the load on my chest could never be removed. His radio started to emit static. Kumagai is saying bzz bzz. Bzz bzz. This is Kumagai. Uishi-san, over. Yes, hello. This is Uishi. We got news a few minutes ago that she's been absent from school. No movement at the Sonozaki house. Our target is still on the premises. Yes, good. Keep a watch out. Roger that. The relief for 3 and 7 just arrived, and they've returned to the base. Also, it looks like the division chief is looking for you, Uishi-san. He keeps bugging me too, so... He keeps bugging me to... I don't know, that sentence structure seems weird. He keeps bugging me too to tell him as soon as we get in touch with you. He keeps bugging me too to tell him as soon as we get in touch with you. What do you want me to do? If you're hard-pressed for an answer, tell him you're actually under orders not to wake me from my morning nap. Got it. The radio grew silent. Sorry about that. It's about work. He just said there was no movement at the Sonozaki house, didn't he? Oh my, did it sound like that to you? This won't do. Please, keep that a secret, all right? I don't have permission from the division chief to be making private inquiries like this. Uishi-san had suspected Mion for a long time. Nor for questioning witnesses or for searching houses. We don't have permission for anything, really. The Sonozaki house's defenses said to protect the family members, The Sonozaki house's defenses said to protect the members are also in full working condition. Without a warrant, we can't do any... Without a warrant, we can't do anything about anything, unless the crime happens right in front of us.
Uishi-san, could you be...
Reina's tone of voice alone was enough to... Reina's tone of voice alone was enough to make her spite. Jesus. Yeah. Sorry. We're in earlier than usual in the mode where I can't fucking read. Reina's tone of voice alone was enough to make her spite clear, and she stared at Uishi-san. As she stared at Uishi-san.
Uishi-san. Oops, didn't mean to do Reina so quick, but whatever. You can't set foot in the Sonozaki house. Were you trying to get Keiichi-kun to go in there instead?
Reina, that's... What do you mean?
This person, just as I thought, he plays really dirty.
Stop, you're hurting my reputation. That said, I'm all ears to your explanation, okay? Uishi-san lit a cigarette and responded to Reina, wearing an expression implying he was calm and willing to let her comment slide. Uishi-san lit a cigarette and responded to Reina, wearing an expression implying he was calm and willing to let her comment slide.
You can't get a warrant, but you've always had your eyes on Michan because you thought she was suspicious.
Yes?
You plotted to incite Keiichi-kun and have him going. Oh my god, yeah, no, I don't know. I can't read today and I don't know why. I think I might just need a slap to the face or something. Oh my god. Let's go rub my face for lunch. And I'm still on the Reina voice, so this probably sounds funny. Or, like, indiscernible. Yep, okay, I can't, yeah, like Reina did. Smack to the face. Hold on.
Yeah, I was always wondering like what it would be like if I did the Uishi voice in the Reina with the Reina filter on. I feel like that would sound kind of funny. I'm gonna do it. Why not? I'm gonna do it right now.
Why not? I'm gonna do it right now. What did he say last? Okay. Stop, you're hurting my reputation. That said, I'm all ears for your explanation, okay?
I don't know how that would sound if it's like completely like I know that that voice does like that filter. It kind of messes up if you do a certain tone of voice, and like it makes it so it's basically you can't even understand it. But whatever. Sound like a bad grill.
You plotted to incite Keiichi-kun and have him go into the Sonozaki house. Then, if something were to happen to him, you would have used that as an excuse to go in. Isn't that right? Isn't that right?
I only understood about half of what Reina was saying. I knew, however, that Uishi-san had been trying to use me.
Even if Keiichi-kun got hurt as a result, have you no shame? Is this how the police do things?
My. It seems we have an incredible detective on our hands. Oh my. Would you be interested in taking our exam? I'd gladly write a recommendation letter to get you into the detective division.
You're despicable.
Reina spoke quietly, her words dripping with hostility. I've been insulted in all kinds of ways in my life, but one or two words from a young girl is always the roughest. Is always the roughest for me.
Even so, I suppose I should thank you for not arresting Michan yet.
Don't mention it. Uishi-san seemed to be enjoying his exchange with Reina. The things this man thought... The things this man thought were like a swamp. I could barely see past the surface. It reminded me again of how much I disliked him.
Now then, as two esteemed friends of Mion Sonozaki-san, what do you plan on doing now? Will you wait kindly for me to go over the evidence and request a warrant?
No, we won't wait for that. We'll go and make Michan surrender herself.
That's right. If she turned herself in rather than be arrested, she might get a little lighter sentence. At this point, perhaps that was the only pity I could find in me to afford her.
I see. I wonder if it will go that well. If you're careless, you two may face danger, you know.
Uishi-san was measuring our resolve, so in a strong voice I declared, "We're fully prepared." Uishi-san gave an unpleasant yet seemingly satisfied grin. It was then that I realized this man was trying to use us for his own convenience.
If anything should happen to us, use that as an excuse. Though my greatest hope is that you will surround the place so that the criminal doesn't get away.
Ryugu-san, you're good at negotiating too. I'm throwing in the towel. I surrender.
What are you talking about?
If the policemen surround Michan's house, then that will be insurance for the worst case scenario. For the worst case.
Yeah, I just realized Reina hasn't, repeated herself in a while. Yeah, I mean, that was the closest we got, and it kind of wasn't the same thing as what she usually does. So, makes me feel like she is determined to help her friends, or whatever.
Oh my god.
I'm okay. That was overdramatic. Plus, it would be another way of pressuring Mion to give herself up, wouldn't it?
Uishita Kuma. Uishita Kuma-chan. Uishita Kuma-chan.
Why does Kuma keep saying bzz bzz? Bzz bzz. This is Kuma guy. Go ahead.
Our two friends are going to play at the Sonozaki house. Make arrangements so that we can reinforce them if needed.
Roger. Zzz. Their altogether too short conversation implied that our questioning was already part of their plans.
Then, let's get going. Want to buy some tea biscuits on the way there?
Neither Reina nor I went along with Uishi-san's stupid joke. That sounded like you were dying. Yeah, no, like I said, overdramatic. Sorry. Alright, can't wait to use the Mion Shion voice filter a ton in a minute here. Oh no! There's an ant. I see an ant. There's an ant on my ceiling. Get out of here, you fuck. I'll leave him be for now. It's just one. But where there are one, there is many, so there gets to be any more. You're getting the vacuum. Don't think I won't. Anyway. Uishi stopped the car at the place where we always waited for Mion. Come to think of it, I've never been to Mion's house before. I've only heard that it's right down this road.
This is as far as I can take you. According to our information, there are quite a few security cameras set up on the premises. Still, don't worry. I've got a bunch of youngsters ready and waiting to slip past them and go in. We'll be monitoring the inside with a one-way mic, so if you two give a loud scream, we'll know right away.
We'll persuade her for sure. So please be ready. Please be ready for her to turn herself in.
In both of our eyes, well, in both our eyes was determination. It was the only method available to us for lightening the sins of our good friend.
Be plenty careful, you hear? You probably don't believe it right now, but I don't want you two being sacrificed if at all possible.
You're right about that. With that rude response, we left the car. Was that rude? I mean, what Uishi-san said kind of, but me? No, I think that was pretty appropriate. The clinging humidity and voices of the cicadas greeted us. I'd never have expected this would be happening today.
Let's go, Keiichi-ken.
Reina took the lead and began to walk down the road I'd never been. Reina, you've been to Mion's house before, right?
Yeah, a few times. It's a really big house. You could fit a mountain into their backyard, too. You can pick mushrooms and stuff, though there are fences everywhere.
Big enough to fit a mountain. That was amazing. One of the three families controlling Hinamizawa, and the head of the family Sonozaki. And the head family of the Sonozaki clan. Perhaps there was something to be said about this. Perhaps there was something to be said about its magnitude. The path continued onward, level and uneventful. There were metal fences along its edges, and beyond them were woods. I didn't try to crack my voice there, that's weird. There were metal fences along its edges, and beyond them were woods with trees growing thickly. The fences were high, the tops of them bent inward, sticking out like sharp spears. Plus, there was dangerous-looking barbed wire wrapping them. No one could look at them and not feel intimidated. In addition, there were signboards hung up here and there along the fence. Private property of the Sonozaki family. Entrance forbidden. Beware of venomous snakes. Active security cameras. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of 1 million yen. This forest, or should I say mountain, is this all their yard?
It's more like their domain. As you can see, it's private property, but nobody maintains it. The forest isn't really the kind that you go hiking in.
She could say that again. It really did feel like neglected, savage woodland. It was dark and damp, and certainly not a forest that made you want to go for a nice walk. Maybe that's just what happens when a landowner has too much land. Like Uishi-san said, there were security cameras hung up all over the place. Though they had been weathered by wind and rain, casting doubt as to whether they were even functional. I wonder if Mion is watching us as we come to her.
I don't think she is. The only people living in Michan's house are generally her and her grandma, after all. There's nobody to watch the cameras.
What a useless security system.
Well, Michan's father seems like a pretty tough person to get along with. So whenever everyone in the family is getting together, the cameras are apparently working properly.
That's right, Mion's father. He was a big shot Yakuza, wasn't he? Reina smoothly danced around the answer as she explained. Is this supposed to be, like, said? It seems like that should have been said. think that was a question he asked, and then Reina danced around the answer. I don't know. Seems weird to me. Anyway. At last, a huge gate as big as I'd imagined appeared. She was living by herself with her grandmother, in a house with such a grand gateway. I wonder if she's here. Beep. Beep. Keiichi. You can't say that word. It was bleeped by the censors. The old buzzer made a dull sound. It was cut off in the middle and not... Was it cut off in the middle and not getting to the house? We waited long enough without a response for me to start thinking like that. However, we finally heard footsteps walking through gravel on the other side of the gate. I nervously balled my hands and palms now sweating into fists. Don't say Mom Spaghetti, don't say Mom Spaghetti. There was the clang of a bolt being released, and the gate opened slightly. The person peeking out of the gap was none other than Mion.
Well, this is unusual. Are you two going to school?
Mion didn't seem at all surprised at visitors. Mion didn't seem all that surprised at visitors arriving in the morning, which wasn't a normal time. In fact, she almost seemed relaxed, as if she knew we were coming beforehand.
We stayed home today.
Ugh. Kei-chan is one thing, but you two, Reina? You two are such troublemakers.
Mion smiled lightly, in the way that the Mion we knew always did.
Well, let's not just stand here. Come on in.
She gestured for us to follow her. I hesitated for a moment, looking at Reina.
Let's go.
Reina smiled cheerfully as if she were passing through the gate of a good friend's house, and then did just that. I rally myself and then go through the gate too. On the other side, it hadn't been maintained very well, but it was clear that the lot was magnificently wide. It wasn't quite what you'd think of when you hear mansion, but it was very clearly a vast place. Okay, I almost said palace there, and I was like, did it say palace?
Is this the first time you've been here, Keiichi? Kei-chan. She says Kei-chan. Was this the first time you've been here, Kei-chan?
Yeah. This house is enormous.
Steep thatched roofs aren't in fashion anymore. This place could be a tourist attraction. I want to rebuild it using totally average and boring reinforced concrete soon.
Mion dryly smiled as she said that, then closed the gate and relocked the heavy bolt.
Don't worry about it. Things have been dangerous lately. Gotta do at least this much during the daytime.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it was my imagination, but I thought I saw the hint of a shadow in her smile.
Well then, good sir and madam, I shall show you inside. Please, come this way.
Mion bowed to us like a worker at a high-class hotel, then pivoted on her heel and began to walk. Reina gripped my stiffening arm lightly.
Keiichi-kun, you're too tense. We came to see Mi-chan, remember? You don't need to be that nervous.
That's right. When I get nervous, I tend to let everything show on my face. I'll stop tensing up. Even if something were to happen, there were two of us. Uishi-san's subordinates were waiting outside of the gate for us, too. There's nothing to worry about. After thinking about it that much, I realized my nervousness was already gone and laughed at myself. What's this? Neon, what's with this stone on top of the newspapers? It's in the way. There's a pile of newspapers on the floor of the entrance, and there was a large rock on top of them. I didn't understand why something like that was there. Reina noticed me looking at it questioningly and giggled. Reina, do you know? What is this? Some kind of good luck charm?
If you don't really know, then feel free to move it out of the way and put your shoes there.
Keiichi-kun, there's a nest of... Keiichi-kun, there's a nest of swallows right above that stone.
Huh? Oh, you're right.
This house is for people, but swallows still come in without permission and make nests. Must be like a tradition for them. Whenever spring comes, they always make a nest here. It's kind of annoying, though.
In other words, it's a sign to not take off your shoes here, because swallow poop could end up in them.
I couldn't help but laugh at the silly contrivance. Say that again, because I stumbled out on that word, huh? I couldn't help but laugh at the silly contrivance. My laughter naturally spread to the other two.
A really long time ago, the Sonozaki family apparently cultivated silkworms. Our ancestors would get all worked up over exterminating the swallows. When you think of it that way, maybe this is our just desserts. Anyway, come on in.
This is all very, pleasant. This is the calm before the storm. There's gonna be a click, and then everything's gonna go to shit. It's coming up. I don't trust it. Not one goddamn bit. Sketchy. I'm sketched out. I feel sketchy. This whole thing is sketch. Anyway. The inside of the house wasn't very bright at all. It was dimly lit, in fact, but mysteriously, I could still feel an elegance to the place. Mion seemed to want a more modern building, but traditional houses like this aren't bad either.
You're kidding, right? There's a terrible draft, and the winters are freezing. Don't go making my house into a property of cultural significance and getting in the way of renovations, got it? What I want most is a house like yours, Kei-chan. I'm pretty jealous of it. It seems like it would be warm in the winter. Oh, that snowfall seems like it would be a problem.
Snowfall's a problem? Does Hinamizawa get that much snow? Our latitude is south of Kanto, isn't it? Isn't this region warm?
You don't know, Keiichi-kun? Hinamizawa is in an area that gets heavy snowfalls. When we get a lot, everyone gets buried. Sometimes you can't even get out of your house. Sometimes your car gets totally buried too. You can't find it. And you can't find where it is.
I wasn't aware of that. Hinamizawa, was that bad a place in the winter? Come to think of it, my dad, he said something like, this place gets plenty of snow, so we could have fun building igloos. Still, our front door getting buried? Not being able to find your car? That's way too much snow.
You remember from geography class, right? The western side of Japan gets cold winds from Asia. We're different from those softies protected by the mountains, nice and warm by the Pacific Ocean.
I'm totally okay with being a softie, nice and warm. I hate the cold.
Well, we'll have to have a training camp to get Keichan used to the cold winter we'll have to have a training camp to get Keichan used to the winter. Oh my fucking god. Taking that one completely over. Ugh. Excuse me. I just died again. We'll have to get a. I'm just gonna fucking stutter through it. Holy shit, I can't do this, apparently. God damn. What is going on right now? Jesus Christ. We'll have to have a training camp to get Keichan used to the cold this winter then.
No way, no way. There's no way that's happening. I hate the cold, and I hate training camps too. I hate them, and even more put together. Mion laughed more more uproariously is how you would say that. Mion laughed more uproariously than she ever had, then told us she'd bring out some tea and left her seat for a moment.
Still, there's a lot of fun things to do in the winter. I bet our club will be a blast then.
Our club continuing activities through the winter sounds totally horrible. Like swimming in the cold or marching in the snow. When did we turn into Mount Redhorn?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of tough punishment games for the winter season. One time she made us have a Rio carnival in the schoolyard while snow was falling.
I can see the terror of our club I see the terror of our club cared not for the season. The victor would be decided by who could best adapt to the winter-only events.
We do snowball fights and shaved ice eating contests and treasure hunts in the snow.
Wait, why is everything outside? We can't play the tabletop games in a nice warm room while it's snowing?
Well, Keiichi-kun, if you're saying things like that, then you're gonna lose a lot this winter. We'll have a lot of punishment games, and Reina won't lose.
Don't give me that, huh? I settled things with a cross chop to the head.
You're sure having fun. Our walls aren't very thick, so be careful not to go flying through any, okay?
The paper sliding door opened and Mion returned with a pot and a complete tea set.
Do you want some sesame sendai for sure. Do you want some sesame sendai to go with that? Sorry, we don't have much in the way of bean paste or other good stuff.
It's okay, it's okay. We didn't really come here to drink tea anyway. And with those words, the smile disappeared from Reina's face. She did it. What? See, again, I hate these pauses. This doesn't make any sense, even after seeing this. She did it. That one careless statement reminded us. Okay, I don't know what this is implying. She did it. What did she do? That she did it. What? To whom are you referring as she? I don't understand. She? You mean this? This sentence here? Is that the she? Are you calling this entire sentence she? She did it. That one careless statement reminded us of what we had nearly been able to forget. I had wanted to enjoy this peaceful time for a little longer, but we put an end to that with those honestly careless words. When she noticed the smile disappear from Reina's expression, Mion, too, changed hers. It was as if the cheerful air that was like a warm spring day until a moment ago had slipped through the cracks in the paper door and altogether disappeared. There was no point in regretting it now. We did not come here today to chat and enjoy ourselves. Mion silently poured the tea. During that time, both Reina and I sat kneeling without uttering a word.
Here you are. Drink up.
We couldn't even mutter a word of acknowledgement at those We couldn't even mutter a word of acknowledgement at those natural words of courtesy.
There's no poison in it or anything. Do you distrust me that much? That's upsetting.
Mion gave a bitter smile at that and let her shoulders droop. Everybody's just like, silent words, nobody saying anything. We all remained silent. We remained silent, hoping that someone else would speak up first. That was, however, the one thing we didn't want to do, and so we sat for a long time. At last, Mion smiled scornfully and opened her mouth to speak.
Hey now, Kei-chan, Reina. You're the guests. Didn't you come here for something? If you don't speak up first, this old man won't know what to do.
Reina and I exchanged glances. We both resigned ourselves. Reina opened her mouth to speak first, so I stopped her. Oh, it looks like she got through, dude. You didn't stop her too nicely. Whatever.
Whatever. Keiichi-kun...
It's okay. I needed to come here. Let me talk first.
Okay, I understand.
What would Kei-chan have to tell me? Please give me your daughter's hand in marriage, maybe? You can't do that. My little Reina and Kei-chan aren't meant for each other. Go wash your face with miso soup and try again later.
Afterwards, I thought her mean remarks were Mion's own way of showing consideration. Mion had said those mean things in a totally normal voice, and it drained the tension from my shoulders. Mion, first, I have something to apologize for.
You do? What for?
Mion pretended that she didn't know what I was talking about, but I'd clearly gotten my point across. Well, on the night of the Watanagashi, the ritual storehouse behind the shrine, I went there. I could see Mion's expression immediately become harder. I knew it was somewhere I wasn't supposed to go, but it was just supposed to be a little bit of exploration. We didn't mean anything by it. Even so, I still shouldn't have done it. So, I apologize. I'm sorry. To display my deepest sincerity, I pressed my forehead to the table. I'd meant it as my way of I'd meant it as my way of prostrating. I'd meant it as my way of prostrating myself. I figured it wouldn't. I figured it wouldn't feel sincere enough if I raised my head right away, so I left it there on the table for a while. Mion didn't say anything. With my face down, I couldn't tell what sort of expression Mion had. Only the voices of the cicadas filled the room. Mixed with them, I could hear the sound of the clock ticking. That was all. When I started to struggle to breathe from having my head down for so long, Mion told me to stop.
You got me there. I didn't expect you to pitch it to me straight. You got me on the ropes.
I looked up to see that Mion's face was calm, but she was smiling faintly.
If you understand that even though it was only a casual exploration for you, Kei-chan, that there are a lot of people who think it's no laughing matter, then it's okay. There's an old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
It's been days since then. It may be too late, but I apologize. What I did was wrong. Please forgive me. I could feel the pitiful tears welling up within me. If I had done this sooner, maybe nothing terrible would have happened. Gosh. My fucking throat. God damn. Hello, Charlie. Oh, you were at the gym. Got some workout? Nice. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Hello, and I hope you're doing well.
It's okay. If you know what you did was bad, then that's enough, right?
Mion spoke like it was someone else's problem, and I wasn't happy about it.
Michan, Keiichi-kun is apologizing seriously. I think maybe you should respond seriously as well.
I am being serious, though. Do I not look serious to you, Reina?
You don't.
Reina was giving her tit for tat. Interesting. And so the room's atmosphere quickly began to show... Oh my god. Reina was giving her tit for tat, and so the room's atmosphere quickly began to grow sharper. She was right. Even though I came here to speak from the heart like this, it's felt like she hasn't been taking this seriously. Obviously, Reina isn't too fond of that.
Keiichi-kun, you can get up now. Let's tell her everything. That looks like what Michan wants too.
Did I get that in Reina's voice? I was hoping to. Anyway. Anyway. I had known it would turn out like this from the beginning. Hadn't I come prepared for that? I mustered my willpower and bit my lip. Whew, okay, sorry. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry, I'm coming back here just because... Whew, something... I don't know, I just randomly got really dizzy just now. There's a wave of dizziness just like hit me. I don't know where that came from. Woo! I'm not like dehydrated or hungry or anything. I ate not that long ago. But that was weird. That was weird. It just like, yeah, I'm like, I feel okay. No, it was just like random. Hit me just like, whoa. Like in the middle of that last line. Yeah, like towards the end of this here or this one. So like towards the end of this and the beginning of this, like I just got like a wave of dizziness just out of nowhere. Ooh, that felt weird. Okay, I'm gonna take another drink, I guess. Head rush from the screen? I don't think so. I don't know. You know what? It might be. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna take a drink. I think it might be because I forgot to take my medication today. I usually get like dizziness, like head spins, if I don't take my medication. So, and I don't think I took it this morning, and it's probably coming to me right now, kicking my ass. This is what happens. This is what happens when I don't take my damn meds. I get dizzy. It's one of the side effects. One of the withdrawal symptoms, I guess. It's okay. I'll be okay for today, and it'll be better tomorrow when I actually take it. I can't take it now, unfortunately. It's too late. I gotta take it like at least around the same time. And I'm supposed to take it in the morning. But son of a bitch. It's my own fault. Okay. No, I'm good now. I'm not like super dizzy. It was just like one wave of dizziness that just kind of came out of nowhere there. Okay. I think I can get back to it. Take the meds before you pass out on stream. No, it's not gonna. Even if I do take them now, it's not gonna be worth it. It's not gonna take effect quick enough. I don't know where you live, and I can't help. Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. Like when it came over me just now, like it was more just like whoa, like I wasn't about to fall over or anything like that. I'm good. I'm good. It's okay. Plus, my roommates are here. Just don't die. I'll try not to. But yeah, my roommates are here too, so they'll hear my body hit the floor and probably be concerned if I do fall down. Anyway, back to it. Did I say this? Getting okay. One more second, and then back to it. Okay, this is serious. This is serious now. A snuff film. It's okay. I'm not even on screen. You won't even see it happen. You'd hear it. So I don't know if that counts as a snuff film if it's just audio. Anyway. Hadn't I come here prepared for that? I mustered my willpower and bit my lip. Mion, you called Rika-chan at Satoko the day before last, right? Where's my volume? Why am I not hearing the volume? Did I mute this? Oh, there it is. It was just quiet. Okay. Sorry. Mion, you called Rika-chan and Satoko You called Rika-chan and Satoko the day before last, right?
I don't remember doing so. If you have a reason to think so, you could let me hear it.
It was evening, before dinner time. Rika-chan should have come here, bringing a big bottle of soy sauce. To have you share some with her.
Mion was trying to keep from showing any reaction, but I didn't miss her eyelid twitching just a little bit. Did that happen? That'd have been awesome if they like actually just showed one eye kind of like twitch for a second. I don't know. I couldn't see it.
Why do you think that?
It's not hard to understand. Mi-chan, you saw it too, didn't you? Rika-chan's room?
Mion put a finger to her forehead and acted like she was thinking.
There was chilled tofu, but no soy sauce. Plus, the big bottle of soy sauce that should have been under the sink was nowhere to be found.
What? Is that why she would have come here?
Mion, drop the act. You wrote it yourself on the notice, didn't you? That you'd share your soy sauce? Mion scratched her head. I heard her ever so faintly click her tongue. It was as though we found out she'd purposely given too little change to a servant. That's all I could feel from her.
Then, Michan, Reika-chan, you hit her.
Reina hesitated for a moment. I could tell she didn't want to use the word erased, and that she was struggling to find another word.
That was really supposed to be the end, wasn't it? For you, anyway.
What are you talking about?
You didn't foresee that Rika-chan would tell Satoko-chan that she was going to your house, did you, Michan? Then, Satoko-chan called. Might Rika be imposing on you? Yeah, probably just like that.
You sound just like her.
Michan, you were in a bit of a bind then, because someone knew that Rika-chan had come here. So you decided to lure Satoko-chan here too.
Lure her out? Ugh. Like, how, I wonder?
Mion prodded Reina on, as if trying to get the good part of an interesting story. I, however, knew. I had been watching Mion change the whole time. She was restlessly twirling her fingers. She had clearly lost her calm. Of course, it was really a slight thing, and only I, who had been watching her this whole time, would have known. Mion was panicking. What Reina was saying must have been a bullseye.
It probably went like this. Satoko, I actually made too much dinner today, so why not come over and eat? Rika-chan came earlier and already ate some. Something like that.
Scratch. Mion's nails dug into her knee.
There's no recordings of phone conversations or anything, so how'd you know that much?
I know it because the dinner that Satoko-chan made for the two of them was plastic wrapped in their refrigerator. It hadn't been touched.
For a few moments, Mion's face was frozen in utter amazement. She looked like she couldn't believe that this person in front of her was Reina.
With just that to go on, how did you even guess what we said over the phone?
It's a long explanation, so I'll get to the point. The contents of that refrigerator provided a vivid account of what you said over the phone when you lured her out.
Mion's jaw remained on the floor. That was the only way I could describe her face.
That's... I had no idea I had such an incredible detective right next to me the whole time. I can't believe you'd figure out everything, down to the phone conversation, just from what was inside the fridge. You got me there. You got me. You got me.
As if a dam had burst, Mion convulsed into laughter. Her laughter, though, definitely didn't make us want to laugh as well. Mion grew tired of her dumb laughter, heaved a big sigh, and scratched her head. It almost seemed like Mion had lost a detective punishment game for the club or something, and her punishment had been decided. Oh, how fun that would have been if it were true.
An incredible detective. Michan, you're the one who guessed what Uishi-san told us. He called me an incredible detective too.
As soon as she heard Uishi-san's name, Neon's eyes began to display panic more clearly, so that anyone would be able to tell. Mion, the police have Mion, the police have suspected you for a long time now. Uishi-san's officers have had the house under observation so that they could break in at any time. Mion attempted to feign calm, but it looked like she was having a hard time with that. Part of her couldn't believe that the police had surrounded her, and she closely examined Rina's facial expression. I'm losing it again. Part of her couldn't believe that the police had her surrounded, and she closely examined Reina's facial expression. However, she couldn't detect a hint of falsehood. Finally, Mion seemed to accept the fact that the police were encircling the house.
Wasn't the mayor Michan too?
Were Tomitake-san and Takano-san you as well? Mion didn't answer any... Okay. I feel like I said that in a much higher pitch than I usually do for Keiichi. Not like much higher, but still, it felt weird. Were Tomitake-san and Takano-san you as well? Mion didn't answer our rapid-fire questions. I could clearly see the impatience in her eyes, which were still feigning calm. At last, Mion, who had been sitting here lazily, readjusted her cushion and sat herself upright. At that moment, the atmosphere in the room changed completely. Mion's expression also changed. The impatience and wonderment in her expression disappeared, and she became so solemn you would think it was about to conduct a tea ceremony. I could sense it. It was now, in this moment, Mion had ceased to be Mion, but had changed into Mion Sonozaki, the current heir to the Sonozaki house. That solemn atmosphere about her was clearly abnormal. It was entirely different from that of the Mion I knew. Now, I could believe it. Now I could believe that she was the young leader who commanded the entire Sonozaki clan. More quietly placed... Right? Yeah. Mion quietly placed both her hands on the tatami mat. Tatami? I think I would say that. Okay. Anyway. Mion quietly placed both her hands on the tatami mat and gave a beautifully elegant bow, as if this really were a tea ceremony, and named herself.
We meet for the first time. I am the current heir of the Sonozaki house. My name is Mion.
Mion's movements were so elegant they could cut, and we couldn't even answer her. All Reina and I could do was watch, baffled at her actions, which we could never imagine the normal her doing.
I would like to welcome you to the Sonozaki main house today. How bring you all in place of our leader, Oryu? It seems as though you have various things you would like to ask. If I can be of any assistance, then I would like to answer without concealing anything.
What? What did Mion just say? Mion said she would answer anything we asked? There was a strong light of resolve in her eyes. It's really alright if we ask anything then?
I shall tell you everything I know. That is why you have come here after all.
Reina and I exchanged glances. There was a mountain of things we wanted to ask Mion. However, we hesitated for a moment on what we should ask first. The first question Reina gave was extremely abstract, but it was the question everyone wanted to know right now.
Why? Would you do this?
That was what I wanted to ask as well. Why? Why would you do this? That didn't only go for Rika-chan and Satoko. It went for the mayor, Takano-san, and Tomitake-san as well. No, even further back, for all the incidents that had been occurring every year. For a little while, Mion couldn't respond. Right when we realized that the question was too vague and tried to put it into more concrete terms. She finally opened her mouth to speak.
To answer that question will take some time. If that is acceptable, however, then I would by all means like you to hear it.
She spoke clearly. She spoke with a clarity that a grandmother might use when telling a story from a long time ago.
Do you know that Hinamizawa village used to be called Onigafuchi village?
Reina nodded lightly, then shot me a glance asking me if I did. I returned her nod. Hinamizawa was once called Onigafuchi village, yes. I'd heard all about it that night from Takano-san in the ritual storehouse. They firmly believed that demon blood ran through their veins and cut off all contact with the outside world. They were worshipped by those in the villages at the foot of the mountains and treated like transcendents, those capable of magic.
That's right. Our ancestors in Onigafuchi village were proud transcendents descended from the demons. Those in the village at the foot of the mountains worshipped and honored them. Nevertheless, that all decayed with the end of the Tokugawa era.
The black ships arrived, the era of the samurai ended, and the era of national isolation ended, and the tradition of worshipping Onigafuchi village quickly disappeared. Those things that linger from the past were all to be detested. That was the kind of era it became.
The Meiji era began, and the name of Onigafuchi village, with its long history, was forcibly changed to Hinamizawa village. I've heard that the Meiji government strongly wished to erase the old customs.
The abolition of feudal domains and the establishment of prefectures. An era had begun, seeing Japan sprinting up the stairs that were beyond their means to try and reach the same level of the rest of the world. All things in the Western style were to be extolled, while all old traditional things were to be scorned. That was the sort of era it was.
Our ancestors in Onigafuchi village were proud descendants descended from the demons. Onigafuchi village disappeared in a flash.
At last, Japan, provoked by the great European powers colonizing countries in Asia one by one, began a policy to increase its wealth and military power so that it could stand the global power in its own right. Conscription began, and they won war after war, the First Sino-Japanese War, and the Russo-Japanese War, and until the Pacific War broke out, they recklessly climbed the staircase towards modernization.
At the time, Onigafuchi village had already lost its impenetrability. The villagers, once worshipped as transcendents, were now on the receiving end of inhuman treatment. The sacred Onigafuchi village had been groundlessly labeled an isolated village of those afflicted, and it... Excuse me. I'd like to imagine me just burped in the middle of talking about this? And the sacred Onigafuchi village had been groundlessly labeled an isolated village of those afflicted with incurable diseases, a mere shadow of its former self, and stood on the precipice of an era of hardship.
Thus began harsh days, where one would suffer unreasonable discrimination just because people knew one was from Onigafuchi. The children of the village at the foot of the mountain were taught not to go near Hinamizawa because filthy germs were rampant there. Children who came into contact with children in Hinamizawa would cry and wail as their parents purified the spot they were touched by rubbing salt on it. One of the adults said to the children that if you got lost in Hinamizawa, you would be kidnapped by demons, cut up into pieces, and devoured. Never, ever go near the terrifying village of the man-eating demons. That's what he taught them. Another said that during a famine long ago, the people of Hinamizawa gathered up all the corpses they discarded into the dry river bends, then cooked and ate them in order to survive. Groundless stories, but said in such seriousness. Baseless slander added to baseless slander, making Onigafuchi Village's historically accurate, thrilling history all the more believable. Perhaps the chain of undue discrimination was a manifestation of the people's anxiety towards the uncertain times. Of course, the story didn't end with only the perspective of children. If anyone found out you were from Onigafuchi, you would be turned down from any job you applied for. People would even go back on engagements and marriage proposals. As for the marriages where one partner had lied about it, as soon as the truth got out, they were made to divorce. It
even caused trials. It would appeal that where one came from wasn't an important enough reason to divorce. They would, however, lose their case. Lying about one's birthplace apparently constitutes a heavy act of misrepresentation in marriage.
That's terrible.
I've heard about such discrimination towards those in small villages in civics class. Yeah. I've heard about such discrimination towards those in small villages in civics class, just because others knew you were from a tiny hamlet. Weird word. You would be subjected to every societal disadvantage there was, a modern form of bullying. Though I only memorized that because it was going on to be on a test one time. I recall being suspicious about it and unable to believe such discrimination occurred in modern Japan.
Really? I recall being suspicious of that.
Yeah, I recalled being suspicious about it and unable to believe such discrimination occurred in modern Japan.
Well, I suppose I can't say that they weren't asking for it. Our ancestors were proud of the demon blood flowing through them. They lived their lives boasting about it and scorning those at the foot of the mountain, after all. They struck fear into the villagers down there with their mystique and demanded gifts of dread and tribute.
With that, Mion smiled for the first time, albeit in self-mockery.
During the Pacific War, despite the slogans that all the country was acting as one, those from Hinamizawa continued to suffer all manner of discrimination. There were too many ways to count. They would send their husbands and sons to war, and the women on the home front would suffer greatly too. My grandmother remembers it well. She remembers it being a difficult time.
Even that bitterly long war, however, finally ended in 1945.
Hinamizawa.
The Pacific War, the World War II. obviously. Just, I mean, I'm sure everybody probably knew that. World War II is what they're talking about. I didn't know they called it that. And I wonder if that's what they call it in just like Japan or something. Maybe. Anyway, sorry.
Hinamizawa had lost many male hands, but at last their fathers, husbands, and sons returned to them. Of course, there was also many who didn't come home. Nevertheless, for those in Hinamizawa who were at their limits, barely able to maintain the village without the men, the return was a very happy thing.
MacArthur's GHQ set to work on drastically improving mindsets and strove for the abolition of unfair discrimination. They could feel day breaking on the dismal night that was the previous era.
Hinamizawa was on the verge of turning into a ghost town. Those in the village started to say that they should rebuild it once again, and got to work, trying to make the village even a little more plentiful.
During that time, someone appeared who built up a fortune through a vast number of dealings in the black market. That was Mion's grandfather, the husband of the elderly current family leader, Sohei Sonozaki.
So I said that the managed food warehouses in Harbin after being dispatched to the Chinese mainland. So I said that he managed food warehouses in Harbin after being dispatched to the Chinese mainland. When it was time to pull out, he conspired with his superiors and comrades and stole a great deal of the army's canned goods. He hid them somewhere in the Seto Inland Sea, and sold them widely at a high price on the black market, thus earning a fortune.
Sohei didn't spend that fortune for his own pleasure either. He entrusted the entire amount to his wife, the head of the Sonozaki house.
Let's revive this ruined village. All who live here are family, and this fortune is our collective property. So he proclaimed to my grandmother that the current head of... So he proclaimed to my grandmother, the current head of the family. The vast fortune was a huge reason why Hinamizawa was revitalized after the war.
I see. With that, Hinamizawa came back to life, and that's how the Sonozaki family had established its current prosperity.
Of course, there were many people who begrudged the money coming from the black market, but the villagers no longer minded it.
They succeeded at one business venture after another. Those who had succeeded freely supported those who followed them. The giant family of Hinamizawa tied together with strong bonds, kept on expanding its influence. The Sonozaki family, the center of everything, would be extolled for a long time as the minds behind Hinamizawa's revitalization.
The person at the middle of it all was... The person at the middle of it all... What? The middle of all of it. The person at the middle of it all... I said it again in the way that I wasn't supposed to. The person at the middle of all of it was your Nana Micha. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ding. The person at the middle of it... The person at the middle of all of it was your Nana, Micha. Goddamn it, it's a question. I am dying. I'm having a stroke. Oh god, it's getting worse. The person at the middle of it all was your Nana. The person at the middle of it all was your Nana, Michan? That's amazing. What a great success!
Yeah, I'm struggling, but I'm struggling because of the stroke that I'm having. It's okay, I can get through this. I will finish this arc, damn it. Mion looked like she was honestly happy Reina had praised her.
However, around 1955, the wind started blowing in the other direction again. Because of the canned flesh incident.
Canned flesh. Sounded so hideous. That just hearing it made me nauseous.
Someone naming himself as my grandfather Sohei Sonozaki's superior confessed that those canned goods had been human flesh.
Hinamizawa, a village in which demons lived and ate humans. They were just about to wipe away that cursed stigma. The light they had finally started to see in their peaceful lives grew hazy and disappeared. The shocking truth, as revealed by his former superior. The stolen provisions from the old Japanese army that had been a huge cornerstone for Hinamizawa's revival. It had been canned human flesh. Why were there cans like that? Wasn't Sohei just the manager of food warehouses? His superior revealed that Sohei Sonozaki did not have the job of managing the food.
In reality, Sohei's job during the war had been to exterminate pestilent mice and to transport the corpses of those infectious diseases.
It had been unfair treatment, and all because of the lowliness of his origins. As a result, though, he had returned safely without having been sent to the front lines or being detained. Perhaps that was the only fortunate thing to happen to him. Finally, Sohei was enlisted as an assistant at a military medical institution. There, however, he found something even worse than the low, scorned, depressing customs of Onigafuchi village and the research they were carrying out. Could that have been, well, the bacteriological corpse in the old Japanese army or whatever?
Keiji-kun, you've heard of that? What could it be?
I was pretty sure it was Unit 731. It was a nightmare unit that devoted itself to researching terrifying bacteriological weapons to break the deadlock in the war. They used many innocent people as fodder for horrible experiments. They methodically observed how many days a new strain would take to kill the victims. How many days it would be when injected. How many days it would be when swallowed. They dissected many people to find that out. Sometimes they wouldn't bother waiting until they were dead, and dissected them while they were still alive. They would strap them into centrifuges while still alive and crush them in decompression chambers while still alive. When a live human decompresses, all the holes in their body get pushed outwards. Their intestines get pushed out of their anus like a snake winding out of it. I have a feeling I saw something like that on a documentary one time. That makes me sick. And they still hate Hinamizawa, huh?
You said it.
Mion agreed with me, giving a faint, sad smile. It wasn't much in the way of communication, but for some reason I was happy to have it right now.
The unit Sohei was in did way kinder research than that. They were researching concrete methods for reducing the difficulty of delivering food on the battlefield.
The military's design at the start of the war completely fell apart, and a chronic food shortage broke out all over the battlefront. The food shortage led to malnutrition, and as their natural resistances lowered, the soldiers fell to one disease after another. Spirit and morale lowered as well. They wouldn't be able to maintain their forces at this rate. Apparently that's where the research started. At first, it was to find methods of delivering food to battlefields. It was very broad and included things from violent methods like stealing it from citizens to survival methods like how to cook it. Excuse me. I'll take this one again. That burp had to come out. It was very broad and included things from violent methods like stealing it from citizens to survival methods like how to cook unfamiliar insects and plant life. As they were working out the details, they kept straying off course and going out of control, till finally they knocked down a door called Taboo.
What do you think the easiest source of protein on a battlefield is?
Reina and I knew the answer without being told, so we didn't answer.
That's right. They were researching ways to handle using humans as food. Fighting onwards, sometimes eating the flesh of enemies and sometimes that of allies, became the ultimate service paid to their country. They were deathly serious about this doctrine. It really is a riot. My grandfather was despised as someone who ate human flesh, and yet they had gone above and beyond that. Apparently, he always thought about it too. Even if he was a vulgar, man-eating demon, they were far more ugly demons than he. So no matter how much he was scorned, he wouldn't put up with it.
At last, they had a handful of test prototypes. When the soldiers learned it was human flesh, however, the scientists couldn't make anyone eat it. So it was apparently sent to the front lines. The cans were labeled meat substitutes, and so that they wouldn't accidentally eat it themselves, they stamped the bottoms with a circle.
The starved soldiers on the front lines apparently loved all the prototypes they were sent. Among them, those who cooked it in soy sauce, like it was sukiyaki, loved it the most.
Come on, Michan. Stop. I'm getting sick to my stomach.
Reina really was pale-faced, and she looked like she was having difficulty continuing to sit on her knees. Mion looked like she had more to say, but she sighed lightly and stopped there. Then, those canned goods your grandpa brought back.
I didn't know if it was true, so I denied it was human flesh up until the day he died. However, those who begrudged Himizawa's sudden revival called him a savage for making a fortune from selling human flesh, and the villagers began to be scorned again. They returned to a time where children would be jeered at and have rocks thrown at them.
The stifling silence came back. What a seriously hopeless and sad story it was. They discriminated, were discriminated against, discriminated and were discriminated against. Why must they attach worth and rank to it? Why can't they live without looking down on people? Why can't everyone enjoy life together? I didn't know.
My grandmother, the family head, once told the children of the village this.
If they throw a stone at one of you, then two of you must throw stones back. The children asked her, what if they threw stones at two of us? Of course, the answer was simple.
If they throw stones at two of you, throw them back with 4. If they chase 8 of you with sticks, drive them off with 16. If they slander 30 of you, yell back with 60.
Finally, the children asked, what if we're attacked by 1,000 people? Even that answer was simple.
If 1,000 people attack you, then everyone in Hinamizawa will stand up against them. It was a manifesto to spur people into action. My grandmother rose up not only as the leader of the Sonozaki house, but as the mother of Hinamizawa.
It was halfway through 1955. It was a time when the riots over the treaty with the US were rampant. A time of battle and action. The people of Hinamizawa joined together and fought, treating unfair discrimination towards one as a crime against them all. It didn't matter whether that one was a child or an adult. If they heard that a child had been told off, then everyone would crowd the house of the perpetrator, acting as a whole. If they heard an adult had been treating unfairly, If they heard an adult had been treated unfairly, men and women, young and old, would all band together and stand up against it. If you meddled with people from Hinamizawa, you would be in trouble. They probably figured that if they could make others think that, they'd win.
Kei-chan, you remember how many people came to help you when you got involved with those delinquents in town?
I recalled how much of an impression it had left on me. The people of Hinamizawa boldly came to my rescue, yet the people of Okinomiya averted their eyes so they wouldn't get involved.
My grandmother fought, and my parents carried on the fight. At last, peace returned to Hinamizawa. Of course, that peace had been placed on a razor's edge. When you consider the previous 100 years of history, tranquility now can only be called a chance interval, standing on uneven scales.
Why? Could I really have an opinion on such a long and difficult history when I hadn't moved here more than a year ago? Yet, I said it anyway. Why can't everyone just live in peace? What happened to those old stories of Oyashiro-sama that I heard from Takano-san? Man and demon joined hands and lived together in harmony. Didn't Oyashiro-sama remain in this world to watch over that?
It's a fairy tale. I mean, that even if those people and the demons were real, the Oyashiro-sama who mediated between them wasn't.
Sorry. Is that why Oyashiro-sama's curse happens?
A cool gust of wind blows from the side. A cool gust of wind blows from outside, fluttering Mion's long, beautifully clear. It's weird to call her beautiful right now, but okay. A cool gust of wind blows in from outside, fluttering Mion's long, beautifully clear hair. Mion kept refreshing her smile without answering and didn't even change her expression, but even that became a silent answer.
So that Hinamizawa village might once more be like Onigafuchi village. So that we may again be a sacred existence worthy of worship. That was the earnest wish of our ancestors in Onigafuchi, and the mission of those who inherit the demon in the Sonozaki main family.
Those who inherit the demon?
For generations, the Sonozaki family had had a custom of including the character for demon in the leaders' names. If you write out my name on your hand, it should appear plain as day.
I traced the word Mion on the palm of my hand. Oh, she's right. The character for demon is in there.
Not only in my name either. The demon is engraved in my The demon is engraved on my body as well.
When she said that, she quietly rose and began to lay her hand on her clothing.
It's okay, Mi-chan. You don't need to show us, okay?
Thank you.
With just that exchange, I guessed what she meant. Most likely, somewhere on her body, there was a permanent seal, such as a tattoo or marking, that proved she had inherited the demon. Mion didn't sit back down. She smoothly opened the paper door onto the porch. A refreshing breeze A refreshing breeze began to cleanse the damp air filling the room. Mion quietly gazed out at the wide yard for quite a while. On her shoulders was something I could never imagine the normal Mion carrying. It was the heavy, truly heavy history of Hinamizawa. No, of Onigafuchi, weighing down on them. What kind of words could I possibly say to Mion like that? Reina wasn't saying anything either. That was not intentional. Reina wasn't saying anything either. Well, Reina wasn't saying anything to her either. Only the voices of the cicadas drowned out the silence. At last, after a long period of nothing, Mion murmured.
The serial incidents happening over the past 5 years. I was directly related to some of them, and indirectly to others. Some were not the Sonozaki family, but were rather related to the others, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. I think I was at the center of all of them.
She said it all without turning around, with her back to us. At some point, her tone of voice had gone back to being the Mion we knew.
I have faith in what I've done, and don't feel any guilt. If I did, perhaps it would be that I will have to leave the stage before the heir is decided. Perhaps it would be that I will have to leave the stage before the heir is decided. If I am caught and tried in a court of law, then I suppose that's how it works nowadays. Being able to retire with Hinamizawa at the most peaceful it's been in 100 years could be the happiest thing that's ever happened to any of the Sonozaki leaders of past generations.
Mion leaned a shoulder against the paper door, then slid it down and flopped on the ground. It was an act of such resignation that just seeing it made me hurt inside. The numerous terrible crimes Mion had been a part of suddenly began to fade from my mind. Hey Mion, I don't care what happens after this. Can't you just try to struggle as much as you can? Try to run away? As soon as I began to think that way, Reina's ringing voice filled the room.
But Rika-chan and Satoko-chan, you killed them, didn't you, Mi-chan?
The sharp points of her words stabbed into my chest despite not being directed at me.
I'm not saying that it's okay if you killed other people. Regardless, Mi-chan. You killed Rika-chan and Satoko-chan.
Reina's words were more biting than any I'd ever heard. Even now that we knew all the heavy history pressing down on Mion's shoulders, she had criticized her for killing our friends.
Just as I bear the duty of the Sonozaki family, Rika-chan bore the duty of the Furude family. That duty was to protect the ritual storehouse.
My chest tightened.
I learned around last year that Rika-chan had said something about it. The bars on the storehouse door were too heavy for her, and she wanted to change them to a simpler lock and key. Even the priest before her had complained about it being heavy. He was very aware of how hard it was for Rika-chan. I will make sure to guard it, so I want to replace the lock with something lighter.
I replied on the behalf of the Sonozaki family leader. Ever since the string of freak death incidents, there seem to be people who are insolent towards Oyashiro-sama, so you shouldn't replace the lock with a simpler one. That said, the leader of the Kimiyoshi family, Old Man Kimiyoshi, he... excuse me. If it's that difficult for you, Rika-chan, then I think it's okay to replace the lock, he said. The very fact that it was locked with a key was an indication of it being somewhere you mustn't enter. There's nobody bad enough to break through it and go inside, he said. Even if we were alike as leaders, I couldn't find it in me to argue with Old Man Kimiyoshi, since I owed him so much. In the end, we decided to change out the lock on the storehouse and switched it to a really cheap and light padlock.
Old man, is this really alright? Nana says that if possible, we should keep the lock the same.
It'll be alright. You're quite the worrywart. If something happens, this old man will take all the responsibility.
You promise? Do you mean that you'll take responsibility as the leader of the Kimiyoshi family? You should be well aware of how sacred the things inside really are.
It's okay. There aren't any bad cats in Hinami. It's okay. There aren't any bad cats in Hinamizawa who would open a lock and break in. No.
Sobs escaped from my mouth. Something hot and wet dripped down my spades and fell into the tatami mat.
I had already heard of the thieves entering the ritual storehouse during the Watanagashi festival. There were 4 of them. We decided to act within the day. At the same time, we needed to demand that the ones who allowed the thieves to break in, Rika-chan of the Furude family and Old Man Kimiyoshi, take the responsibility.
My tears dripped and dropped, until just now, I decided that it was Mion's fault, that she killed Rika-chan and the others. That was wrong. The one who killed them wasn't Mion, it was me. I may as well have killed them.
Keiichi-kan.
I had a chance to stop this tragedy from happening, and yet I didn't. Cheap curiosity got the better of me, and I didn't. If at the time I'd stopped us from sneaking into the ritual storehouse, Rika-chan and the others wouldn't have had to die. If I had... then nothing would have happened. We would be spending our days having lots of fun like we always did. I was an idiot. If by shedding tears I could take it all back, then I would have filled up the room with them. However, such a meager act wouldn't be enough to redeem myself for the crime I've committed.
Kei-chan, you're not at fault.
Mion gently began to speak to me, as if trying to reason with me.
As the leader of the Sonozaki family, I needed to act. But given the history of the Sonozaki family, thinking about it now, it's no big deal. Maybe I should have saved my friends, even if it meant casting them all aside. I yielded to it, and that's why I killed those 2. I, Mion Sonozaki, and nobody else killed them. I had hundreds of chances to stop it, but I didn't stop. I gave in to the easy role that was handed to me, and abandoned all thought of fighting for my friends. So this is my crime. I killed them, Mion Sonozaki, with these hands. Killed them, and nothing whatsoever changed. Nothing.
Her masochistic laughter was sad. Especially because Mion boasted in club that she would turn the tables on whatever predicaments presented themselves. It was so painful.
It was so painful. Oops. Didn't need to say that as Reina. Still, Michan, you saved one person of your own volition.
Eh?
As I looked at her surprised, Reina struck her finger. As I looked at her surprised, Reina stuck her finger right at my forehead.
you left Keiichi-kun alive. As strong as you are, Michan, it would have been no trouble for you, but you didn't kill him.
That's right. Mion was so cunning that nobody could stand up to her, even in our club. If she had seriously tried to kill me, I would have been dealt with on the very first night. So many people had been sacrificed, but I was always left out in the cold. When did I first realize it? Even though people were disappearing one after the other, for some reason I had this vague belief that only I would be left alive.
Why didn't I kill him? As a demon, I can't even begin to guess. Maybe Mion had some reason she didn't want to kill you.
What is that supposed to mean? Shh. Mion put a finger to her lips to say that Reina didn't need to talk.
Is Uishi waiting outside?
Yes.
Any way out?
Anyway. No, they said they have the place surrounded. Seemed like they called a lot of cars over the radio. I think they have your entire property surrounded.
Mion fell silent. Reina's merciless words felt cruel, but they weren't meant to be. Maybe they were trying to lessen her good friend's pain, if only by a little bit. Maybe they were considerate, like she was trying to help.
Please, turn yourself in.
Mion didn't open her mouth, but she smiled just a little.
We'll go with you. We'll never leave a friend behind. We'll never leave a friend by herself.
Crying children and Reina are the only things I can't beat.
She rose, scratching her head. Her face had returned entirely to that of the usual Mion.
I'm not aware of how serious my own crimes are. Even if they accept me turning myself in, I'll probably never be able to come back here.
I couldn't say anything. The number of deaths Mion was involved in, it was just too large. So much so that maybe recommending that she turn herself in was, in a way, extremely cruel.
So, I'd like you to hear one last selfish request.
What is it?
3 minutes is fine. Just let me have some time alone with Kei-chan.
Huh? My name suddenly came up, and it looked like I was the only one surprised about that.
Keiichi-kun, is that okay with you? If you don't want to, then I won't make you.
You're right. It's okay if you don't want to. After all, I am a demon, and Kei-chan is a bona fide human who moved here from somewhere else. For us to be compatible, as long as Oyashiro-sama doesn't exist to mediate, simply isn't possible.
There was no reason for me to hesitate. I'll say that again, that was weirdly flubbed. There was no reason for me to hesitate. Mion had been engulfed by heavy, unopposable tradition. The one who had forced her to kill her friends with her own hands. That was me, and me alone. In fact, with me cornered, it would have been okay for her to take the blame. Oops, no, that's not true at all. That is the exact opposite of what this says. In fact, with me cornered, it would have been okay for her to blame me. However, Mion didn't say one word of blame. Far from it, I was guilty of the crime and she let me go. Amidst the fate she could not oppose, she saved me alone. I didn't know whether I should be thankful for that. Thinking upon it now, I didn't know how much easier it would be if I were to be granted the same punishment as Rika-chan and the others. The only thing I knew for sure was that I had an equal duty to bear, the sins that Mion shouldered. So, when it came to Mion's last request, there was no reason for me to hesitate. Sure, it's fine.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you too, Keiichi-kun.
Reina stood up. It looked like she would keep her promise with Mion and leave.
It's fine, Reina. You can wait here. You can wait right here. I just want to go around the yard with Kei-chan. If you're bored, you can go to my room. You can read any manga you'd like. And if there are any volumes you like, you might as well take them.
I don't want to. Michan's book belonged to Michan. Reina couldn't bring them home with her so freely.
You're such a good kid. Only at times like this.
Mion took Reina's head and rubbed it violently like I always did.
Okay, let's go, Kei-chan.
I began to walk after Mion, who headed out for the hallway, when Reina silently stopped me.
Take care of Michan.
Yeah.
Michan really does believe she won't ever be able to come back.
I didn't know much about laws, but with as many deaths as she'd been involved in, the chances of her escaping a heavy punishment seemed non-existent.
Watch out that she doesn't do anything rash, okay?
Mion might not surrender herself to justice, but instead choose to put an end to things herself. Reina had already thought that far ahead. Right, I won't let that happen. Reina rubbed at her tears, which had fallen without me noticing them.
Okay, then go after her.
I nodded and followed Mion, who had disappeared out the front door. I could clearly hear Reina sobbing from the other side of this. I could clearly hear Reina sobbing from the other side of the paper door.
Why was Michan made a successor to demons? Maybe it just had to happen that way, but it's just so awful.
Something hot burned my cheeks. They were my tears. I fiercely wiped them away. This was the last of my time I could offer to Mion, so I absolutely didn't want to let her see my tears during it. Mion was already waiting outside the front door. Waiting with a knife! I don't know. Maybe. Achievement called Sorry About That. Weird. I put on my shoes, tapped my toes against the floor a few times, then left, and Mion timidly came over. Why is she turning all red at a time like this?
Can I hold your arm?
It was such a modest request. I don't mind. With my permission, her face lit up with glee, like a child being given a toy, and took my arm.
Did you get kind of nervous with your arm through mine? You're not thinking, for example, that I'd suddenly put you in a world-class joint lock or anything.
You two say the same things. I don't think that. At all. Back when nothing had gone wrong yet, during those nostalgic days of the bustling commotion at Angel Mort. Okay, actually. Sorry, I'm doing this again. I have to sit down. my shoulder is like killing me. I gotta this is my standing desk. My shoulder's like killing me. I don't know what is going on with it, but I feel like I need to sit down, so I'll just do this while I kind of move back. I gotta go grab my chair, but it's okay. I'll still be talking for a second. Like, I don't know how well you'll be able to hear me as I walk away. My chair's really heavy. Super heavy chair. Okay. And here we go. It's on wheels, obviously, but wait, you were standing the whole time? Yes, I stand. I stand during. Ooh, shoot! Almost screwed my camera up, which doesn't really matter. But yeah, I stand up during all of these. Not every stream, but all of the Higurashi ones. Every single Higurashi I've stood up until now. This is the first time I've ever sat down while playing this. Yep. It's better, like, when it comes to, like, voice acting and, like, projecting my voice and talking a lot, it's easier to do. Feels better, feels more natural when I'm standing. But, yeah, I can't do it anymore, so. Yeah, like I said, my shoulder's, like, starting to hurt, so. Taking a load off. Alright, anyway. Let's finish this, probably, maybe. We'll see. During those nostalgic days of the bustling commotion at Angel Mort, I counted back and was amazed. It had only been 1 week ago. I had been arm in arm with Shion then, too. Linking arms with Mion like this really reminded me that they were twins. How much strength they put into it, the sensation of their arms, their warmth and the blood flowing. I could feel that their living sensations were all exactly the same.
I think Shion liked you, Kei-chan.
I see. If this were a regular conversation, I might have jumped back, red in the face. Right now, though, no matter what I heard, my mind remained at peace. Mion and Shion, you got all along... Excuse me. Mion and Shion, you got along well, didn't you?
Well, I wonder. Kei-chan, do you think your right hand and left hand get along?
Huh? My right hand and my left hand? I don't think you could describe them as getting along or not.
That's how our relationship is. You can't measure it by the scale of how well we get along.
That didn't sound like it meant they had got along really well.
For example, one of your hands is dominant, so there will always be a better hand. If you only had one oven mitt, you would put it on your dominant hand without thinking, right? I think maybe it was like that for us. That doesn't mean, though, that anyone would be okay with losing their left hand. It's that kind of unexplainable relationship.
I think that maybe you live too close together and just stop being able to see it, but I think that means you get along really well. I'm an only child, so the day before the festival, I was really jealous of when you and Shion were messing around with each other.
I think you're jealous of something that doesn't exist. Yeah, we're twin... Yes, we twins used to have a lot of fun playing tricks on people. But now that we have such distinctly different personalities, it just gets in the way.
Were they cursed or were they self-conscious? Their relationship was hard to understand for an outsider. Maybe that wasn't an issue someone like me should intrude on. Just staying silent and nodding gently was the best way to advance the conversation. Mion passed through the wide yard and invited me to the big, desolate forest we'd seen on the way in. Such a big forest was part of the property, so I couldn't help but feel small. It's huge. You must have had a great time playing in it as kids, huh? Mion seemed to be slightly reminiscing. I couldn't look into her mind, but she was probably thinking back to those fun days when they played as sisters without any antagonism. Every time the wind blew, it caressed the treetops and the leaves, making a swishing, murmuring sound. Mion remained silent for a long time, thinking back on her younger sister, whom she had gotten rid of with her own hands. There was no need for me to get a word in. Just walking like this, arm in arm, was enough. Suddenly, Mion stopped and turned.
Xion is still alive.
Really? Mion took a hard look into my eyes, then nodded quietly.
Yeah, I've been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all, so I had her locked up. I never did think of a good way to do it, though.
Mion sounded as if she hated Xion, but also, deep down, she didn't completely detest her. So I took my other hand and rustled Mion's hair with it. Mion didn't only save me, she saved Xion, too. Mion may have become a demon and led many people to their deaths, but she fought against it, and I was able to save 2 people. As I petted Mion, she narrowed her eyes in an entranced smile and untangled her arm from mine. Then, Mion quietly said,
Come with me. I want you to see all of my sins. Although, Kei-chan, it might be the worst thing you've ever seen.
I could sense it. There I would probably find all the sacrifices up until now. Looking at them would mean accepting Rika-chan and Satoko's deaths, as well as accepting that my best friend had done it.
It's already happened, and it's in the past. You can choose not to look, Kei-chan. If you don't want to, then wait here. I will personally end everything.
I was taken aback at how ominous that sounded. I remembered what Reina had told me. Mion might not surrender herself to justice, but choose to put an end to things herself. I couldn't leave her alone. Besides, I agreed to her last request, didn't I? Even if it was hard for me to accept, I'll still do it. Even if I avoided looking. It was something that had already happened. It doesn't matter what I see.
Yes?
Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. That won't change. It never will. The treetops softly swayed in the wind.
You and Reina both. Why do you only get really cool at times like this?
Normally I'd say something rude right back at her, evading the question, but today I didn't. I just answered with a smile. At last, Mion started walking, into the thick forest, into the deepest part. After following a thin path that looked like an animal trail for a while, we finally came across a steep incline with a tunnel that reminded me of a coal mine or a bomb shelter. We were surrounded by shallow hills and had been created in a spot not visible from the outside. There were many silhouettes of crows in the streets here and there. The abnormal odor I'd been smelling for a while, doubtlessly escaping from inside this place.
If you want to turn back, now's your chance. I don't know what kind of person Mion Sonozaki is to you, but if you go inside, that Mion will probably...
She won't change. I'll say it as many times as I need to. Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could have ever had. I clenched my fists. Inside there was probably a sight beyond anything I could imagine. If I let my guard down, I might end up vomiting. Even so, I'll endure it. I'll overcome this pain and this suffering. It will never change that Mion is my greatest friend.
I'm nothing more than a demon, so I don't understand human feelings anymore. I have a feeling, though, that I know why Mion fell in love with you.
Don't say things like that. Don't say that like it's not related to you. You're Mion. You're not a demon. You're a human with blood, and you're my friend. Mion made a gesture like she was wiping tears from her eyes, then placed a hand on the big door of the tunnel entrance. Oh, God. Keiichi, don't you know you're never supposed to go to a second location? It's like rule number 1. Never go to a second location. Dumbass. The lock on it was dauntingly strong looking. It seemed to demand the appropriate resolution from whoever would enter, just like the ritual storehouse. When the double doors opened, a stifling, rotten air and a bunch of winged insects came rushing out. I remembered accidentally killing a hermit crab a long time ago by leaving its tank out in the porch, and how intense the odor it left was. If that was the smell of a corpse, then that's certainly what If that was the smell of a corpse, then that's certainly what this smelled like. Inside it was pitch black, but Mion flicked a switch that turned on a light bulb, illuminating the interior. The path turned itself into a series of intricate wooden tunnels. We passed spaces that looked like they were for storage. We passed places that looked like someone had lived there. All this indicated that it had been used as a bomb shelter and stockpiled during the war. It didn't give an impression of dugout bomb shelter that had just been left there, though. There was a sense of dignity, as though this were a second Sonozaki house constructed underground. Despite being in pitch darkness below the ground, the voices of the cicadas were entering through an air hole somewhere, giving it a very mysterious feel.
You said you saw what was in the ritual storehouse, right? The piles of torture instruments? All of them were created to uphold the strict religious laws of Onigafuchi village. They were tools used to kill those who broke the laws in terrible ways as a warning to others.
That was a long time ago.
Watanagashi, originally a ritual meant as a deterrent, was once overseen by the three families. But thanks to the Kimiyoshi and Furude families going on to decline and the way the times changed, actually carrying it out became difficult.
I can imagine why. You'd never think people could be okay with drowning people in a swamp and killing them in modern Japan.
That's why the Sonozaki family built this, a secret place, so that we could continue to construct the Rite of Watanagashi even in modern times.
Okay, keep in mind, this is the same universe. Like, all of this exists in every single one of these arcs, so this was a thing even in arc number 1. The first quote-unquote chapter of this entire thing. So this existed, Shion existed, way back when we first started playing this game. All of this. Yeah, you gotta remember that, because like I forget that a lot. Which, yeah, it's crazy. It's like when we talk about like people getting disappeared and stuff. Like we kind of have an answer as to like where they went. Like this, it must be here, this place that Mion is taking Keiichi. Just, yeah, something to think about, I guess. Mion opened a large, strikingly different door, and inside was none other than a modern storehouse for ritual implements.
There's quite a few, isn't there? Some of them were actually brought here from the original storehouse.
All of the things there had been rusty and covered in dust, so they didn't seem that real. But the things in here were different. Every one of them had been well maintained and kept in a state that they could be used right away. Blades gleamed and spikes were sharpened. Also, perhaps as a precaution for the splatter of blood, the walls and ceiling were covered in the kind of tiling you would see in bathrooms, and there was even a drain set amidst a slight slope in the floor. There was also a coiled rubber hose along the wall attached to a faucet, perhaps for cleaning up the splattered blood.
According to something a leader from a long time ago wrote, blood spatter has impact despite the fact that it doesn't tax the surface. Doesn't tax the sacrifice. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent after all. My ancestors thought up all different kinds of things to show off.
As she said that, Mion pointed deeper into the torture room as a spot veiled in darkness. There was surprisingly a room floored with tatami mats, and in the corner was a pile of cushions.
There's seats for the audience. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent after all. It wouldn't make any sense if there were no guests.
I couldn't speak. I couldn't think of anything to say anyway. Except that if Mion revealing all of this to me made her heart feel any lighter, then I was prepared to listen for as long as I needed to.
Right here is where I killed everyone. There were no spectators to watch me, but I did the Watanagashi very well. Perhaps there was one spectator.
Huh? A spectator?
Me. The demon, was watching the entire time Mion held the Watanagashi ceremony.
Mion cackled in self-deprecation. It wasn't a nice-sounding laugh.
Back there is the prison.
Is Shion in there? She nodded slightly. Mion's Watanagashi had ended today. I needed to tell Shion that I was safe without a moment's delay. Oh, okay. I needed to tell Shion I was safe without a moment's delay. After all, she was probably trembling in fear at this very moment, worrying about whether she would be killed. The ostentatious door on the other side opened, revealing what must have been an incredibly expansive space based on the echo it made. Mion groped around in the darkness, and a handful of naked light bulbs came on here and there. As my eyes adjusted, more and more of the great cave showed itself in the faint light. The walls were bare rock surface, and it felt so savage that bomb shelter was the most apt term for it. There were small, barred rooms built here and there, like holes made by insects biting their way through a giant piece of fruit. It was immediately clear that each one of them was a prison. Where is everyone? Rika-chan and Satoko?
Their corpses?
I grimaced at her, having said it so outright. Yeah, that's right. The poor things being left in the dark like this.
I didn't want them to get infested with bugs, so I threw them down the well. I'm sorry.
So I can't even see their faces in death. Once again, my feelings of regret at having confessed everything to Rika-chan came surging forth. If Mion hadn't attached the word sorry to the end of what she said, I might have punched her. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. You said it yourself. No matter what, Mion Sonozaki is your greatest friend. Yeah, my greatest friend. I needed to hear myself say it out loud. Then came the clattering of bars in one of the cells deeper in. When I noticed it, I looked up as well. Shion! Is that Shion?
Kei-chan? Is that you, Kei-chan?
I ran over to the cell. White hands were peeking out through the gaps in the bars. It was really her. Are you alright, Shion? Are you hurt?
No.
Shion's face twisted out of shape as she screamed. It was because Mion had appeared right behind me. Of course, Shion didn't know that everything was over yet. Calm down, Shion. Everything is already over. Everything. I spoke in... Well, I didn't speak very calmly. I spoke in as calm a voice as I could, man. I spoke in as calm as a voice I could manage to try to soothe an agitated Shion. However, it didn't seem like I was getting through her screams.
Shion, how have you been? No more. Please, no more. I don't want to see anyone else die. If you hate me, then just kill me already. I'm the one you hate, right? Kill me right now. Sis.
Calm down, Shion. It's all over now. It's gonna be alright. So calm down. Shion, who was screaming and rattling the iron bars back and forth, was truly in a frantic state. I gave a slight shrug of resignation, giving way to Mion. I'd realized that if Mion was one who locked her in here, and if Mion was the only one who had scared Shion this much, then Mion was also the only one who could put an end to this. Mion spoke from over my shoulder, quietly. Yep, I just beat the shit out of my mic.
Relax, I won't kill you. No, I won't kill you just yet.
She burst out into a bizarre laugh, as if trying to make Shion's madness even worse. Shion broke out into a fierce shiver, brought on by that laugh, and rattled the bars as she wailed.
Please stop. Don't kill Kei-chan. Kei-chan has nothing to do with this, does he? If you're going to kill someone, then kill me right now. I don't want anyone else to die. If you want to die that badly, then after I've killed this man, I'll take my time making mincemeat out of you. In accordance with the ancient rites, I'll do it slowly, starting with your extremities. I'll shave you down and mince you. I had that mincing machine set up specifically for you, after all. Or would it be funnier if I were to mince up Kei-chan in front of you?
Hey, quit it already. What do you have to gain by scaring... What do you have to gain by scaring her at this point?
No. Kei-chan, run away.
I tried to rebuke Mion for flinging terrible words at her this late in the game, but when I turned around, Mion's mouth, so much so that it was hard to believe, it twisted into a shape even thinner than a crescent moon. It was a smile. I could sense it like a jolt of electricity. The person here was my best friend, wasn't my best friend Mion. It was the Mion Sonozaki who had been tossed about by her heavy duty of succeeding the Sonozaki family either. It wasn't... Jesus. Taking a drink again. It wasn't the Sonozaki... It wasn't the Mion Sonozaki who had been tossed about by her heavy duty of succeeding the Sonozaki family either. Then... who was she? Well, bam! I saw sparks flying right before my eyes, like what happens when you get hit in the back of the head. the strength in my body drained instantly. My head suddenly became heavy. My knees buckled under the temptation and hit the floor. Then my whole body abruptly collapsed. My face should have hit the floor, but it was comfortable, as if I had fallen onto a down-filled futon. My consciousness reeled and receded. It was the kind of sensation like you took a nap in the car, but you were still half awake and could listen to your parents talking as if they were far away. I know you wouldn't be listening. You would only be hearing it. It was happening so far away, and the conversation was completely unrelated to you, so you would have no interest in it. Whether Shion was yelling in my ears or Mion was in vulgar hysterics, I didn't think it annoying, nor did it interest me.
Now then, I wonder how I should go about preparing you. Yeah. What do you think of a bed of nails? I tested it on those two little brats, but their hands were too small for the restraining table. Well, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
Mion held me up from behind and dragged me across the floor. The soles of my feet scraped on it, and one of my shoes fell off.
And one of my shoes fell off.
I hit the Reina button. No, please stop, sis. Please stop.
Shion's emotions exploded outwards, and she burst into bitter weeping. As if her crying had whetted Mion's interest, she flung me down. Is that right? She flung me down and returned to the prison cell again.
My, you sure can cry with a cute voice, can't you? Your unnatural bravado was making my skin crawl, but definitely suits you the best. Mion, my big sister, I thank you. I don't care how you choose to kill me, but please at least let Kei-chan go. I'm begging you.
Shion had always acted as though she were a cut above her older sister. That Shion, such a miserable voice, in such a miserable voice that I couldn't have imagined it during those peaceful times. Prostrated herself before the older sister she used to scoff at and pleaded forgiveness. Mion looked down with an expression of cool indifference, one that was plainly smiling with joy.
You know, I wasn't planning on listening to your petty wishes. The way you're crying, though, it's just too funny. I think maybe I'll change my mind and listen to you. Since, come to think of it, I never did anything big sister-like for you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Alright then. Let's hear you apologize for everything. Then maybe I'll let it all be water under the bridge. And maybe, just maybe, I'll let Kei-chan go.
Mion said she might let me go, but she never said anything about letting Shion go. Before long, Shion got on her hands and knees behind the bars and began to speak weak words of apology. They were too faint for me to hear, but their intention got across. Despite having watched her with a magnificently jubilant expression, Mion kicked the bars and declared she was unsatisfied.
You think you can make up for years of grudges and hard feelings like that? That just will not do. I guess I'll make mincemeat of you both. Oh. Wait, sis. One more chance. Just one more chance.
Mion stopped and waved her hand again in resignation. Not because she had grown impatient, but only because she was taking delight in abusing Shion.
You can't apologize to my satisfaction anyway. I'll teach you how to make an apology that will get through you to your older sister. I'm going to tell you once. And if you get a chance, even a... Chance. I don't know where that came from. I'm only going to tell you once, and if you get even a letter wrong, you're out. Got it? Yes. Yes. Thank you, sis.
Shion's miserable voice cried out, having become utterly hoarse. The sensation tearing through my chest returned a little at a time. I realized it was feelings of anger bubbling up. I was slowly regaining control of my body. However, I was only able to feel my skin and blood flowing at the moment. I still couldn't voluntarily move my fingers.
Did you memorize it? Then let's hear you say it. Sincerely and faithfully, from beginning to end, with all your heart. If you can do it properly, then I'll only kill you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Something was strange. Something had become strange at this point. Well, you don't fucking say. Sorry. Until just a few moments ago, I was sure this had been Mion, but at some point she had become someone else. The Mion I knew would never do something so nasty like enjoy trampling all over someone's dignity like this.
Now, let's hear it. Your big sister is listening closely. Shion Sonozaki is...
When I ran over to Shion's cell earlier, had the real thing been swapped out with a fake right behind me? Anyway, this couldn't possibly be Mion.
Shion Sonozaki is a lowly, worthless sow. Some lowly, worthless sow, not fit to even lick her big sister Mion's feet. And when I think of the countless times I've been rude to my big sister, without knowing my place. Yes, that's the spirit. I'll permit you to say little more now, okay?
Blood circulated through my whole body. My numb senses were returning. Just a little more. While Shion is still holding Mion's... No, that thing pretending to be Mion's attention. Hurry up.
I reflect on how impertinent I've been, and swear loyalty to my big sister Mion for the rest of my life. So,
Mion's burst of laughter echoed throughout the big cave, growing to a terrifying level. That was not the laugh of someone who was alive in this world. It was none other than the laugh of a demon from the bowels of the earth. She laughed from her stomach until she grew tired of it and stopped smiling suddenly, as if snipping a wire.
Okay already. Oh, that was funny enough for me. I didn't think you'd throw away that much of your pride. That was plenty enjoyable.
Mion began to drag me again after I finally got the feeling back in my body and pulled me towards the torture chamber.
Sis, kill me. Please forgive him. Don't worry, alright? I'll be sure to kill you real dead. After letting you get an earful of Kei-chan's screams, that is. No.
After dragging me to the torture chamber, she skillfully strapped me into this restraining... After dragging me to the torture chamber, she skillfully strapped me into the restraining table. Before I knew it, I was sprawled out and bound. She forced open my hands, with which I couldn't even make a satisfying fist, and tightly restrained each one of my fingers. She fastened only my hands and my fingers that, tightly with hinges and lock them in place. Bump my mic again. Oops.
Zaz. Don't kill him. Zaz.
The door to the big cave with the jails had been left open, so I could hear Shion's cries of mortification the entire time.
Can you hear that, Shion? I'm going to get it started now. Please enjoy Kaon's young screams.
Give it a fucking rest! The feeling in my body returned, and the first action I took was to tell off that thing that looked like Mion.
Awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know, about having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way yet. That was a lie.
Mion brought over something like a toolbox. From inside it, she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that, she began to line up what looked like strangely shaped nails whose ends had been turned into hooks like the kind you'd see on a harpoon.
I'll let her hear the screams of all those people that died because of her, and after that... and after they soaked into her very soul, then I'll kill her. I've got pretty good taste, huh?
Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Mion Sonozaki. Has the fear driven you crazy?
No, you're not. There's no way you could be Mion Sonozaki. Mion snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture.
I see. Then, if I'm not Mion, who am I?
The demon.
Huh?
You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back.
Kei-chan, is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear.
Don't touch me, you damn demon. Give her back. Give Mion back. My best friend. Give Mion back. Mion stood there for a few moments with her jaw hanging open, not having expected me to say that. I myself knew that I was about to go insane. I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion's I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion's return when she was right in front of me. But this person in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There was no way. I couldn't accept that. So this is what I thought. Mion really had been possessed by a demon and was controlling Mion as if it were a separate personality. Mion was just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one was really this thing. It had all been the doing of this demon possessing her. When Mion heard that, she started to guffaw, laughing so hysterically that she started to cough and almost choked.
You really are a piece of work, you know that? In this very moment, Mion Sonozaki is trying to kill you, and you're really trying to reject me? I never knew there was such a funny person in all the world.
If you want to laugh, do it all you want. No matter what you say, though, I won't accept that you're Mion. Give her back. Away with you, demon.
John, are you trying to kill me by drowning me in my own tears?
No matter what, I wouldn't lose to the laughter of hers. I shouted loudly, I shouted from the bottom of my heart so that the real Mion trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me would be able to hear. Witty, please. You can do it, Mion! Don't lose this piece of... Don't lose this piece of shit demon! You're strong! Show me how strong you are! The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her hands were busy with the restraints, so she couldn't even wipe them. She just let them flow. Please, Mion! Mion! Where did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't lose fight. Fight! Mion, desperately enduring her laughter, pressed one of the long nails in the tip of my left pinky. In her left hand was the hammer. At her side were dozens more nails. I could tell what she was about to do, though I wish I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't afford to be scared. That was why I shouted.
My sides hurt like they're about to split. Is that all? I'm gonna get started now. Be sure to give her some good screams. Not only am I torturing you, Kei-chan, but I'm torturing Shion as well.
Why? Why would you? Mion! Then I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't an acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. There were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet a small change did occur in the Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining little by little. By the time I'd realized it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion.
Kei-chan, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you. You really seem to want to know, though, so I'll tell you just one thing.
I didn't know if this was Mion, or just a display of momentary humanity the demon had recovered.
A long time before the demon came to live inside me, it was gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with my reason. That settled the demon down. I got to thinking it had gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left me. It had just gone to sleep.
I noticed that there were tears forming in her eyes.
The demon woke up again due to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was?
There was a sad and yet reproachful light in Mion's eyes.
Do you understand?
I don't. I don't know what gave the demon the chance to beat Mion.
This might be strange for me, the demon, to say, but you're the reason that everything got so messed up.
The tears welling up in her eyes spilled downward all of a sudden.
At the time, if you had given me the doll you got without hesitating, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted.
The doll I got? That doll that I got when we had our club meeting at the toy store that Sunday?
You probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But you see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that. And so it was too much for me to control. It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one. Since it was so small. But you're the one who set it up.
That can't... Me?
If you hadn't made Neon cry, then I wouldn't have had to wake up. Is that enough for you to die in peace?
A mistake. that I made on that day was what messed everything up? That can't, it can't be.
It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you are without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, then I don't think this would have happened.
I want to point out that she just said me. If you haven't given me that doll, that she'd been saying, if you hadn't given me on, you know, she was like separating herself. But she just said, if you hadn't given me that doll. Ooh. I wanted to say, like I just remembered something as I recalled that day. Reina had told me about that, and I thought I had apologized. I didn't apologize to Mion, though. It had been Shion. In other words. Oh, God. I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. Today I came to this house saying I had something to apologize for, but I never said a word of apology about this. Come to think of it, when I apologized for going into the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realize until just now? Reina told me at the time, and now she herself, no, the demon telling me, is the only way for a dense idiot like me to be cured, to die altogether? I could no longer hold back the hot tears pouring out of me. I simply just cried and reflected indifferently on the taste of my tears and the taste of regret.
Can I start now, then? The method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint on the end of your left... I'll nail one of these into your... I'm gonna start that all over. Can I start now, then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint on the end of your left pinky finger.
Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb, and then I'll go back to your pinky and nail one into the joint in the middle. And so on until I hammer 15 nails into your left hand. Should Mion be saying this? When that's over with, I'm kind of doing it in whatever her cadence was. When that's over with, I'll do your right hand next. After that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There are a lot of nerves bundled in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you could imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands, so... Mion pressed the tip of a nail into my left pinky finger. My wrists, my arms, and all the joints on my fingers were strapped in so tightly it hurt. I couldn't even twitch.
I didn't hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. Why do I hesitate now?
If this will satisfy your demon, Mion, if it will sate the demon, then do to me what you will.
Are you serious?
Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. Mion was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she?
You, after all this, you can still worry about Shion more than yourself?
The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all.
You know, are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything?
Can I ask you to promise 3 things instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive.
You said 2 things in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more.
That's a shame. In such an abnormal situation, Mion and I laughed quietly together, as if sharing in on a stupid joke.
I probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon after all.
I guess there's nothing I can do then. I recall tightening my hands into fists when enduring the pain at the dentist's office. Right now, though, they were opened all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. So instead, I tightened my toes. Okay. Do it. I've prepared myself already, so do it. You waiting like this to hammer the nails in is scarier. It's going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hammer and gently stroked my cheek.
Kei-chan, I'll agree to just the third thing, okay?
Huh? My third wish? To save me? She'll agree to it?
Your first wish, to save Mion. That's long done for. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. So give up on that.
Her delicate fingers slid from my neck to my chin.
As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion, that won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, it will just be a body. Because the Oni has taken over it.
That isn't true. Mion is Mion. Don't say such sad things like that she won't ever come back.
Can you hear it? That sound. Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. Salam. Damn. It was a dull noise that repeated in fixed intervals. It was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming the iron doors to this underground ritual storehouse.
Oops, I said all that in the wrong voice. I'll do that. Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. Slam, slam. It was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming the iron doors to this underground ritual storehouse.
You're late, so Reina probably called you Ishi. A spaced-out girl being so quick-thinking was the one thing I didn't anticipate.
I'll agree with you there. Mion grinned like she had been outwitted. Then took something that looked like an electric razor out of her pocket. When she pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out with a snapping noise.
You've probably never seen one before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's illegal, and its output has been increased quite a bit.
Was that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children should be playing with, you know?
You're right.
She seems to want to use the stun gun on me. Unable to move, I felt her press the cool lump of metal to my neck. Slam! I heard a roar as though they'd broken down the first large door. The halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door to this very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way.
I won't chill you, but I will have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. We wish you will be here soon. So only hurt a bit.
Feeling the same shock as before, gritting my teeth wasn't going to help much, but I clenched them tightly anyway. However, just as she did when she was about to hammer the nails in, she hesitated a little. I cracked open my tightly closed eyelids.
I'm sorry for disgracing Mion.
I made a promise before coming here. Whatever happens, the Mion inside my heart won't change.
Look, forget about that. You ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then, it will be the demon that inherited my corpse.
What are you talking about? Just as I tried to say that, a much stronger light than before shined, and like a television being switched off, my consciousness went black. And another atomic bomb dropped. We were eviscerated. Twisted Sisters. June 1983. A string of disappearances occurred in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone City, something prefecture. The suspect is Sonozaki Mion, blank teen years old. She is suspected to have kidnapped 5 Hinamizawa residents between June 19th and June 21st. Oryu Sonozaki, Shion Sonozaki, Kichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hoju, imprisoned them and killed them. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but it was resolved coincidentally and shockingly. On the morning of the 23rd, what the fuck is wrong with me? On the morning of the 23rd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion Sonozaki, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi Marabara and Reina Ryugu. The suspect fled the scene. Deep in the detached basement on the Sonozaki property, which is believed to have been used to kill those who disappeared, we discovered hair, flakes of skin, blood, etc. In the other 4 missing persons, of the other 4 missing persons, Oryu Sonozaki, Kichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hoju. We concluded that the missing persons were tortured in the torture chamber. However, their remains still have not been found. At one of their imprisoned classmates' advice, we continued searching the detached basement of the Sonozaki property, which was where they were imprisoned, believing that they were there. However, we still have not located them or the suspect's escape route. In addition, investigators are continuing as to her participation in the serial freak death incidents of recent years, thinking it could give some clue. But no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incidents, and those of the Sonozaki family and the residents of Hinamizawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us. We expect to require a long time to clarify them. The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region is that this may have been a lynching, an internal form of punishing sacrilegious acts carried out against the beliefs of Hinamizawa Village. And it is clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in this region, and the prefectural police department has ordered a cautious investigation. We anticipated gaining valuable clues from the missing persons believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion Sonozaki, the suspect's younger sister, but her mind was stricken by the grave after effects of the incident, and she has not been in a state of mind to properly answer any questions about what she knows. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but it doesn't seem hopeful that she will recover today either. Only a few days passed since that time. After that, I was rescued by Uishi-san and his subordinates to whom Reina had called in. Aside from my entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was the small burn mark from where the stun gun hit me. As I was having a checkup in the hospital, Uishi-san asked me all sorts of things, but I don't really remember what he asked or how I answered him. From what I heard, surprisingly, Mion still hadn't been captured. There were apparently a great many hallways and smaller rooms extending out from the depths of the prison. It wouldn't be strange if she had fled to one of those and hidden herself. The one fortunate aspect amidst all the misfortune was that Shion had been safely secured by the police. When I last saw Mion, she seemed like she was going to take me with her and then kill me. She probably didn't have enough time, though. since Uishi-san came running in faster than she predicted. That was the only really fortunate thing to have happened. Of course, the rescued Shion, despite having no external wounds, now had a big, deep wound in her heart. She was in a severe state of confusion when they rescued her, and apparently she bit the police officers trying to resist. From what he heard, she was seeing Mion and everyone she saw, hated not only the hospital, but even her own home, and had shut herself up somewhere in Shishibone, hiding her location. Additionally, in fear that Mion would come for her, she was moving from place to place every day, and even her parents weren't sure where she actually was. Wherever she was living, even now, Shion was spending her days in fear of Mion's shadow. The police were investigating the Sonozaki underground storehouse at this moment, since they couldn't find the remains of the other sacrifices. Hadn't Mion thrown the corpses into the well? I had a feeling I'd said that to him. That meant a hidden tunnel, vertical like a well, was somewhere in those underground passages. The secret underground, without any maps or architectural drawings, which had swallowed up the remains of Rika-chan, Satoko, and everyone else, was still unwilling to speak the truth. I was brought back to that basement again, for an on-the-site inspection for something, but I didn't remember being of any help. I wanted to go back there again. For days afterwards, the Sonozakis living in Okinomiya, in other words, Mion and Shion's parents, the big-name Yakuza, would come to our house to apologize, bringing many of their followers with them. However much my parents refused it, they piled up many 100,000 yen bills, calling it consolation money every day. The amount of money grew each day, and after it had passed 2 million yen, they were then given an envelope containing a letter. I don't know what was in the letter. My parents talked about it by themselves for 2 whole nights, and decided to move away. Sorry, I'm going kind of fast. I just kind of want to be done.
I see. You're moving, huh? When?
At the end of the next month. I won't even have been in Hinamizawa for half a year.
I'll be lonely. I'm the only one left.
Reina smiled sadly. If I had just said yeah, I thought it would make her even more lonely, so I changed the subject. Here's something to think about. That's how I broached it. Mion hadn't actually fled, but had been demoned away in the truest sense of the term. Where she went after she disappeared, that we didn't know. What was there, where she had disappeared to? What was there, where had she disappeared to? I hope there was a hobby shop dealing in imports, the kind Mion liked. In that place, she would definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family. In that place, she would definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family, and live not as Mion Sonozaki, but just as Mion, and enjoy herself. Maybe she's already met up with Satoko and Rika-chan. They must also have been waiting for the day Reina and I would join them, spending all their time doing club activities, as lively as they always were. When I told Rayon that, Mion and Reina, mix. When I told Reina that, she smiled and nodded to me. The incidents of the Sonozaki family had been trying so hard to hide, were exposed to the magazines from the single tiny stream. The serial incidents of recent years were all pulled up like a long vine in the ground, one by one, and for many days, many of the news of it was brought up on talk and variety shows. The shows, which were comedic and silly, never once tried to touch upon the grim, heavy history that Mion had been bearing. It made me mad to see them bringing this stuff up in jest, but there was nothing I could do about it now. How big an impression would these short few weeks I spent at Hinamizawa have on my life? During these few weeks, I met my best friends and had the best experiences of my life. I would probably never forget it for as long as I lived. As for the distorted images of Mion that the media had created, After the masses got tired of treating her like a plaything, they would ball her up, throw her in the trash, and then she would fade from their memories. As one of the few people who knew the real Mion, I must always make sure I remember her, beyond any doubt that will surely become my offering to her. The sky reached so far up, the towering cumulonimbus. The towering cumulonimbus. And towering cumulonimbus clouds floated through it. The real summer was just before our eyes. Was over before our eyes. Even now, whenever 10 p.m. came around, I would expect a phone call from Shion, or Mion, rather. Now that everything was over, of course, she would never call me. Would never again call me, but it was precisely because she wouldn't call me that I was scared of who would call me this time. Plus, Mion still hadn't been caught. I couldn't say for sure that everything was completely over. On the other side of that fear, though, were my prayers that Mion was safe. When I thought like that, I was able to sleep even with such terrifying thoughts. The lights were off. Before her attacking when the lights were off was something that scared me. However, that feeling changed to regret within 2 days. The moonlight filtering through the gap of the curtains shone onto the desk and illuminated a doll. That's right, the doll that I should have given to Mion that day. She said it was an import from England or something that was all the rage, didn't she? From what Shion said, the most popular among them were the ones wearing the fluffy dress. After being released from the incident, the first place I went to was that toy store. Everything was apparently sold out besides the things on the storefront displays. I was refused once when they said they wouldn't sell the display products, but when they realized I was Survivor A from that incident, they immediately consented. Of course, even if I bought it, I might never have had the chance to give it to her again, even knowing that I waited for the opportunity to give it to her. I waited like this for the opportunity with it on my desk so I could give it to her at any time. Plunk. There was a weird noise. There was a noise I wasn't used to hearing. It was too big to be raindrops, and it was completely different from the sound lost bugs make when they ram into fluorescent lights. I figured I must have misheard and nestled back into my futon. Plunk. The noise happened again. I wasn't hearing things. I definitely heard it. Where was it coming from? I got up and turned on the light. If there was a second, there would be a third. From where, though? I listened carefully. Plunk. The window. Some sort of pebbles were colliding with my window. When I realized they weren't being blown there by the wind, but rather being thrown by a person, I gave a start. I looked at the clock. It was 2 a.m. Who would it be at a time like this? I quietly peek out through the gap in the curtains. At the light of the gate, despite being so late, I saw someone. They picked up a piece of gravel and threw it at the window. It hit the window and made a plonking noise. Who was it? I caught my breath in surprise. If my eyes weren't deceiving me, that person was Mion. I threw open the window and looked at the figure again. My eyes certainly weren't deceiving me. It was Mion. It was Mion. She was alive. Mion pressed her index finger to her lips and made a motion I wouldn't shout. If she hadn't, I was nearly about to cry out. Mion was in a very delicate position right now. Even if it was the middle of the night, I shouldn't call out her name. I waved to her, gesturing that I'd be right over, flung on my coat atop my pajamas, and flew out the door. I quickly hit the brakes just before going down the stairs. Although happiness was sprouting within me, I had the sad feeling that this would be our final parting. So I went back to my room again and grabbed the doll. If there was a God, I don't think I would have ever thanked him as much as today. Even if it would be the last time we ever saw each other, I was so grateful for this one chance to give it to her. I stepped into my sandals, unlocked the door, and unhooked the chain, then leaped out of the house. Mion.
It's been a while. How are you? Been doing all right?
It was like how we used to meet every morning. Mion waved at me and responded like she always did. It was doubtlessly Mion, and the real Mion. Are you alright hanging around this place?
I really shouldn't be.
She certainly was acting like she knew the police were following her. It was almost like she was a patient who had gotten tired of staying in the hospital and snuck out. Her speech was relaxed enough to make me think that. I couldn't help but be surprised. That relaxation I thought was more like Mion. And I was happy for it. Anyway, what's wrong? What do you need at this hour?
I wanted to talk to you one last time.
That was when I noticed them. On Mion's forehead were big droplets of sweat. Her expression, too, which I had thought to be satisfied smile, was upon closer inspection trembling slightly, and I realized that she was forcing it.
Well, I can't stay for any longer.
A pain note was beginning to enter her words as well, as if just smiling to feed her. Are you all right? Are you not feeling well?
I tried so hard until now, but I can tell I'm done. This is my limit. They're about to come up behind me and take me away.
Mion's smile crumbled and started to stiffen. Did she push herself this much to come all this way for me? Her laughter cut off and changed into rough breathing. I reached out to rub her back, but she knocked me away. Are you okay? Don't force yourself. Oh, that's right. I had something to give you, Mion. This doll. I'd wanted to do this one last time, because I knew how little time you had left. But this last thing, my stomach. It's burning. Mion took a meat cleaver like a knife and stabbed me. I pushed it tight. Took it. It twisted it. Mion, hey. What? It hurts.
Made it. I made it.
I cowered on the ground. My stomach was so hot it almost felt spewing fire. Mion watched it, then took a few steps back and cackled.
I done it all. That's everyone I wanted to kill.
The last words Mion left me with that day came back to me.
After today, Miam will never come back.
From today on, if it were my body, body is all it will be. By then, the demon will take it over. The demon. Mion. This can't. I thought we had finally been able to meet. This can't. Mion, in a pool of blood of my own design, is the doll I bought for Mion. Dyed in red, so red. Mion. The good fortune of having been allowed to meet Mion once more, and the misfortune of that meeting being torn apart before my eyes. Should I be grateful or curse it? My emotions were neither of those, and my consciousness sunk deep into my black. I'm so like, I just want to. I really wish I didn't want to do this. But goddamn it, I'm so tired. This is so long right now. My emotions were neither of those. Black Swamp, the doll I bought for me on the blood, had ruined it. No matter how I scrubbed and scrubbed it, it needlessly been ruined. The moon was sad, was so white, it looked frozen. June 28th, 1983. A violent incident occurred in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone, something prefecture. The victim was Keiichi Maebara, also victim of the previous string of disappearances. At around 2 a.m., he was stabbed in the stomach with a blade object by the subject of the last case. Mion Sonozaki was gravely wounded. He was discovered when his parents woke up and then transported to the clinic. He escaped death. The criminal fled the scene. On the same day, same time, a fall accident occurred in the Kimiya apartment complex, Shishibone City Prefecture. The victim was Shion Sonozaki, also victim of the previous string of disappearances. Late on the same night, neighbors overheard her having a big fight with someone and informed the manager. The manager used a master key to enter the room and discovered that the victim had fallen from the 8th floor balcony to her death. The room had been torn apart and appeared to show traces of a fight. One neighbor has frequently visited the Sonozaki house for a long time and testified that he heard it sounded just like the two sisters having a fight, trading insults back and forth. Loud ass fucking motorcycle going past. We believe this was related to the injury case that occurred the same day in Hinamizawa village, perpetrated by this incident suspect, and did a thorough search of the room, but we could not find any traces that would imply anyone but the victim was present. The victim fell straight through into the foliage of the parking strip. Her neck broke and she died immediately. Her clothing was disheveled. Her clothing was disheveled and had markings that had to imply a scuffle. Shion died. I'm sorry. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so done. I wish I had more energy. I wish I had more voice left, but I don't. I have to be done with this. I'm not doing the Uishi voice. Oh my god. There's so much of this left. Okay. You know what? We're saving. We're finishing this off later. Like, this is too much. This is way too much for me right now. I'm not doing it. We'll finish it off actually tomorrow. I need to go. I need to leave. I'm done with doing this. I can't talk anymore. I need a rest. I need my voice. I need to stop talking. So I'm just going to say bye. Thank you, Ray, Charlie, for being here, Dread, for a little bit. I'm sorry, I don't think I said hi to you while you were here, but I appreciate you anyway. Anybody that I missed, thank you for being here. I'm sorry, there's got to be one more part to this, because I can't do this. I cannot do this. I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging out, though. Bye. I'll see you, and goodbye.